ref. That's he got the ball. Good afternoon, Spurs fans worldwide, and welcome back to the Irish Hotspur. It's your boy Dave as we build up to today's huge European clash as Tottenham travel to Germany to take on Hoffenheim. A win here today with all but secure, more or less, around into the last 16 of Europe. And do you know what? Despite I understand it's not going to be an easy game, they're also in the same boat. They want to keep theirs alive. They've got a difficult away game, to finish off this. They're going to be up for it tonight. I think they realize they have to try and use the home advantage tonight. So it's going to be a difficult game. But for some reason, I have a positive feeling about tonight. Now, look, that could all change come 8 o'clock this evening. I could be so angry. Who knows? But right now, I'm positive, and I feel like we can nick something today. Let's go around the houses. Let's see how people are. Let's give everybody everything they need to know. Let's welcome you guys in, and let's crack on with some great discussions around the game today. You guys know the drill. I don't need to keep saying this, Jack. How are you, my man?
I'm doing all right, Dave. Despite kind of being turned into a sucker almost every single game, I feel like I'm once again weirdly excited for this one. I think it's palate cleanser, auf Deutsch for this one. I feel like this is a game for us that we could use as a little bit of a pick-me-up. It's not going to save our season. It's not going to save maybe all of our doom and gloom around the fan base. But for me, I don't know about you guys in the chat or anything, but for me, this could be a little bit of a pick-me-up. We could get ourselves into the knockout rounds without having to worry about playing any extra games or anything like that. Gives us something to look forward to, regardless of whether Postecoglou's in a job or not. So, in the Europa League, I think plenty of us said in the beginning of the season, one of the most important competitions to a lot of us, the one that we actually put a lot of weight in, the one that really means a lot to us. So, if we get a win today, somehow, some way, Dave, it'd be a huge palate cleanser for me. So, looking forward to it.
No, 100%. I think there's a huge opportunity here, over the next 2 games to try and regather some optimism. Let's see whether we can do that or not. Dermo, how are you, my man? You sitting there in your lederhosen in the spirit of today's game? And are you going to enjoy your last 24 hours of power before this red storm hits?
Yeah, we're going back into the Stone Age by this time tomorrow night.
Apparently, well, that's what we're being told. Let's wait and see.
Yeah, no, like a roof probably ripped off our house. But yeah, no, look, it is a game. Am I looking forward to it? No, because it's Tottenham, and they always send you in the pits of misery or something else. But look, it's a win. We've got to win tonight, and this is a team we should win. We should win against, to be fair. So yeah, look, get the boys out there, get the 3 points. Let's get qualified. Let's get into the top 8, and let's get on. Come on, you Spurs. And F this storm coming through. I'm going to stand out there front and centre and meet it head on.
Hopefully tonight Tottenham is the storm and not Ange Postecoglou. Yeah. Let's wait and see. On to you, Donovan. How are you keeping, my man?
Pretty good, lad. What's that, lad?
Pumped up for tonight, lad?
Yeah, I'm much like echoing Jack said there about the palate cleanser. That's a good way to put it. I think it's a good start start building some positive momentum towards Liverpool. And then 3 wins today, Leicester, Liverpool. Suddenly, our second half of the season doesn't look so bad. So, keep it positive though. Keep it balanced. I would be like to talk about some signings coming in, but let's just take today. Let's take the game of today. So.
And look, you're definitely right. I think we all realize we need a couple of wins to have a somewhat bit of momentum behind us heading to Anfield. And look, today's a good opportunity to maybe start that, and hopefully we can do that because, the second half of this season isn't dead yet. If we can get to the last 16 of Europe, progress in the FA Cup, it's still alive. And, hopefully just start picking up some points in the league. But look, let's tell everybody everything they need to know. Let's welcome some people in. And then let's crack on with it. So everything you need to know, we are playing at the Rhein-Nectar Arena tonight out in Hoffenheim, 5:45 p.m. kickoff. Referee is Morten Krug from Denmark. VAR is Paul van Boekel from the Netherlands. We've had him already so far this season in this Europa League campaign. And then if you want to watch the game in the UK and Ireland, it is on TNT Sports. In the USA, it's on Paramount Plus. And in Australia, it's on Stan Sport. And as you can see, I put Richarlison front and centre because I am depending on him tonight. Hopefully he can come back and bring the goals. Now, the injury list has gotten so bad that have actually had to eliminate the opposition injuries heading into this game and actually start filling out their side with Tottenham players. So the injury list is as follows. Vicario still out with the ankle, Van de Ven out with the hamstring, but is expected back in training next week, so that's exciting. Udogie is out with the hamstring, Basuma is out with the hamstring, Sarr, we're still waiting to find out the full extent of that. Johnson out with the calf, Udebur out with a hamstring, Werner out with his hamstring, and Solanke out with his knee. And then Kinski and Minyuk are ineligible today. We can't re-register our squad for the knockout stages till these last 2 group games are done. So we're out of this game and the one against the Swedish team. And then Spence and Reguilon, of course, not registered in the Europa League squad, which means they can't play until we re-register the squad if they're lucky enough to be put back in it. So that's everything you guys need to know about heading into today's game. Let's get into the comments. Let's welcome people in. Big up Moondog. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. Hopefully you and Charlie will be watching the game today. He says, let me have a happy night. I'm sick of the pain. And this is the thing, Moondog, you know, like the last 3 games have really, really got to me, especially in terms of the performances. And look, you know, I've always said, you know, you win games of football, you're going to get me to buy back in. I just want some wins. I'm just sick of losing. I'm sick of walking away from, you know, just the end of the watch-alongs and that, sitting there pondering, you know, what's going on with Tottenham Hotspur. It's not right, man. It's just not right. You know, I just want a couple of wins to help us move forward, man. Big up, Moondog. Let's hopefully a pain-free night tonight. That would be nice.
Pick me up night, Moondog. Like I said, hopefully it can be one of those, man. It's not going to fix everything, but I think you could use a pick me up night. So could I, man. So could a lot of us.
Yeah. No, absolutely spot on, lad. We could all do with it. Big up, Moondog. I may get my cup out for the watch along. I'm trying to think which one to pick. The one with the Bill Nicholson quote, which, you know, might inspire us, or the one pissing on the Arsenal jersey. I'm not sure yet, Moondog, but big up, my man. Big up, Adrian Schrocker. Good to see you, Spurs diehards. Get over and check out the channel. We have Wembele 1 in the house afternoon, everyone. This will not be an easy ride tonight. In our current form, a draw is the best I can see here, which may be enough if we beat Elfsberg. And look, Jack, do you want to take the gamble maybe heading into Elfsberg? Look, a draw tonight isn't the worst result in the world, right? It still keeps us alive. But, you know, you are depending on luck. You know, you are depending on results from other people at that point. You know, and I think I would rather put our own destiny into our own hands and get the job done tonight, because that Elfsberg game, they're still scraping to get into the playoff places come against us, regardless of what their result is tonight as well. So, you know, they're going to be up for it. It's not going to be easy again on paper. So I would rather get the 3 points tonight rather than the draw. But look, if we get a draw, it's not the end of the world.
No, I think it's technically not the end of the world, you're right, but we discussed this on the members preview. It's kind of part of my intro to this game, which is I feel like you need to get a win tonight to just give yourself that ease of mind, also lift the fan base, perhaps lift the players as well. I think it could do us a lot of good sort of omens if we do get the win today and sort of guarantee that. I don't want to leave it to the final day. I don't want to have to leave it to some sort of scenario where you have to wait for other teams to drop points or other teams to end up, you know, messing up in their own games. It'd be good to get us, you know, over the line tonight, Wembley. What my head is saying is, I'd like probably, you know, I'm not too confident actually that we will be able to get a convincing win. If we are to get one, I'm seeing it being like a close 2-1 or something like that. Yeah. I'm not expecting us to blow away this team. The more we probably talk about it, I'll be on Dermatron levels, maybe screaming 4-0 by the end. But Wembley, I mean, it's going to be a tough ask to get a win tonight, but that's what we need tonight. It's one of those. We need a win, but it's going to be a tough ask considering the form.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough ask. But look, they're not in the greatest of form either, you know, so
True.
hopefully
Battle
we
of the
can go there.
15th.
Yeah, exactly, like you labeled it, Jack. So hopefully we can go over there and, you know, try and nick something. Big up Wembley 1. You're not out there? Did you not fly out? I know you go to home games and that, but did you not fly out to Hoffenheim for today's game? I see some wonderful pictures people are taking from around there and over there, actually. But big up Wembley 1. Good to see you, my man. We have Slim Boy Tubbs, the Oxymoron. Big up one and all. Come on, you Spurs. Great to see you. We've got K32. Hello, Dave, Jack, and everyone. Hope all are well. Come on, you Spurs. Good to see you. Scotty Hynam says, big up to all. Come on, you Spurs. We also have Tartan Spurs. Big up, Dave, Jack, and everyone in the chat. Come on, you Spurs. I like that name, Tartan Spurs, actually. Big yourself up. We've got Mick Hanscom. Afternoon, Spurs fans. Anyone order fried sauerkraut? Let's do this. Come on, you Spurs. Bratwurst is my favorite one. Sausages, isn't it? I think it is. Sheb Tam says, hey, Jack and Dave, hope you're all both doing well and are excited for this game. Not even going to mention the team because don't know who's fit and who's not anymore. Do you know what? Me and Jack were about to do the members preview, and then we got in. Papa Matsar was pulled out, so it's like, right, Jack, well, you have to change the thumbnail. I have to go and change the whole predicted lineup.
Oh,
It was
right.
absolutely chaos yesterday. It's getting to the point where it's starting to affect my life, things that I can try and get done in my spare time and stuff like that. Big up, Shem Town. We've got MV Joker Davies in the house. Come on, you Spurs, 3 more points, hopefully. But Eddie, good to see you in the house. David Granola, the Hoffmeisters are at it early today. Come on, boys, for the win. Love that. Big up, David Granola. Top 943. We're going. We're getting done again. Look, let's wait and see. I do hope not, my man. I do hope not. I don't blame you for feeling like that when you look at the way we've been playing recently. Regan says, I lose my mind if we win this cup. I think we'll all lose our mind, my man. We'll all lose it. Wayne Bonner says, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all well and prepared for another evening of fun with Spurs. Do we actually have enough to fill the team and fill a bench? Look, from what I'm aware, and I think you've also seen on the video, they've brought a load of academy players with them to fill out the rest of the bench and that today, Wayne Bonner. So you're going to see a very, very youthful Spurs on the bench, and maybe some youthful players more like your Grays, Bergvaz, probably Mikey Moore's out there on the pitch tonight. Stephen Wilson says, ain't he gone yet? No, still in the job, my man. And by all means, it looks like they're going to at least give him the semi-final of the Carabao Cup before they make any decision. Stephen Wilson, he says, have we bought in anyone yet? I mean, look, are we surprised? I mean, we're used to this right now, aren't we? And, Postecoglou's words weren't exactly encouraging, sort of yesterday. I know he hasn't exactly ruled it out. I know he said there's a possibility, but the fact that he's even said that, it's maybe screams to me that we're either being turned down left, right, and centre anywhere we look, or we just can't get deals done. Which is concerning if I'm reading between the lines. But big up, Stephen. Or maybe he's just dampening expectations. So when we do sign, when everyone's gone through the roof, let's wait and see. Hollywood Hotspur, good to see you. Top of the morning from the burn. Hopefully Spurs can give me some joy. Well, first of all, hopefully you're okay, my man. I've seen what's gone on out there, and it's devastating. It's absolutely devastating. I never thought that could really happen, to be quite frank. It's absolutely madness. Hopefully, you've survived, but hopefully all your belongings, your house and everything else has as well, my man. Big up, Hollywood Hotspur. We've got Connor. Big up, lads. Great to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well. He says it's a must win. We've got Newcastle United Clip says good luck. Appreciate that. We've got Mungie92. Howdy y'all. Great to see you, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. Moondog says, have I missed the signings? How many have we brought? Haven't missed any yet, Moondog. And you know what? I wake up turning on Sky Sports every day with anticipation, praying, please say we've gone in after somebody. And all I keep seeing is this team putting in a bid for this player. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, but he could help improve our situation right now. Why aren't we in there? It's really, really annoying, Moondog. But look, that's the January transfer window. Big up, DJ Samuel. Great to see you, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. Matthew Breaker says, when do they redo the Europa player list after the transfer window closes before the next rounds? They'll have a chance to redo their list, my man. We also have Thomas in the house. Thomas Benson says, we can't start Maddison. We would be way too open and probs lose if we start Maddison. I think, to be honest with you, right now we actually don't have any choice. He might have to play tonight, my man. We have Chalks Talks Tottenham. Good afternoon, lads. Great to see you. We have L. Jason in the house. I suggest we swap Brennan Johnson for Anthony Elanga. I think many people would be okay with that. Woodsy Hotspur, come on, you Spurs. Belfast is locking down for this storm. Also, honestly, it's mad. And you know what? It'll probably be a crap storm. We've probably overdone it, to be brutally honest with you. I'll just wake up in the morning and find out how it goes, to be quite frank. I ain't preparing for anything. Nitra 8 DJ says, afternoon, all good to see you. We've got Paul Vanden. Come on, Spurs. Please don't ruin my night. And then we also have Sonny says, hello, good to see you. Moondog also says, 5 players out with hamstrings. That's a lot. Look, that's what happens when you're playing them every 3 days. You know what I mean? You're going to pull up with injuries.
There's a funny
the fact
joke.
that it is hamstrings is the common one is a bit worrying, but that happens when you're playing every 3 days, I suppose. Jack, sorry, gone.
No, sorry. There's a funny joke on Twitter where apparently this is true, that the first part is true, that the Hoffenheim so-called ultras or whatever did the classic, fireworks at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. to wake up the players outside their hotel. But then someone underneath the comments, Doug wrote, 3 of the players pulled their hamstring when getting up to check the window from the fireworks. So they're just dropping like flies right now, man. It is ridiculous. It's so unprecedented. It is. We've had really bad injury seasons. It feels like for a long time now, almost every season, but this feels like the worst by a country mile and more.
Well, we're going to have a talk about, the injuries and stuff like that, because apparently there's been leaks from the dressing room to someone at the Daily Mail, so we'll be talking about that article. Moondog, big yourself up, my man. We've got Drew Zilla in the house. Great to see you, Drew. Are you in work? Are you not? If you're not, feel free to come on. I know it's early, so maybe you don't start till later on in the day. Let me know. Big up, Drew. Good to see you. We also have Chris Robb in the house. As a fan base, what can we physically do to have a positive impact on the club? It's frustrating. That's all we can do is sit and watch Spurs be in the mud. Look, you need thousands. You need a couple of thousands out on the street really protesting, the ownership of this football club. And until that happens, I don't think you really will see too much of a change, to be honest with you, Chris. We have Altel Cockerell. Big up, Jose. Good to see you, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. Mary McGee as well says Garnacho wants Chelsea. Wouldn't be surprising going out with the rest of the kids. Andrew says, good day, fellas, please. I need this win so badly. We all do. We all do. We've got Gary Wellsby. I just want to say the Irish Hotspur really gets me through these times. I was there in 77 when we got relegated, but White Hart Lane atmosphere was fully behind the team and with the general in charge. Really appreciate that, Gary. Very, very kind of you, my man. Thank you very much. And look, I'll get us through it. It's what it is, right? It's therapy. It's back and forth, so I appreciate it. Oh, look.
He also wrote Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah. But look, hopefully you don't have to go through another sort of relegation fight, to be honest with you, Gary. That would be nice. I don't ever want to go through one in my lifetime, to be quite frank. It's already taken its toll on me where we are now in the league, let alone if that was a continuous thing every single season. Big up, Gary. Good to see you, my man. We've got Inacoma says, morning, guys. Keep the faith 100%. Called in. Good to see you, Inacoma. Hopefully you're keeping well. We've got Top Trend Music. Hello, sir. We need 3 points. Let's go. That we do. Top Trend Music. What is your favorite music? We've got Darius in the house. Big up, Dave, Jack, Dermot. We're going to win today. League done. We going for the treble. Coys. Look, hopefully so. We could all do with a pick me up, my man. Davey Hall, afternoon. Oh, come on, you Spurs. Still no new players. It's disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. And this is the thing, like I keep saying, you can keep blaming Postecoglou, but when you look into it, the club absolutely failed him over a number of transfer windows and made his job really hard and actually put him in this situation. And there needs to be more conversations around that because we can't keep making the same mistakes. It's My Face says, we need a win today. Come on, you Spurs. That we do. We've got beyond 72. I'm scared we're going to hear Spurs get battered in German, but come on, you Spurs, please. Do you know what? When I'm sitting there tuning in, watching the darts, it actually... Most sporting events you tune in now, you always hear a rendition of it. It's quite pathetic, actually. In the bin 2K says, afternoon, good to see you. Mary W, really need a boost tonight. We could all do it one, that's for sure. And then we've got Paul G, afternoon. Oh, come on, you Spurs. Great to see you. Make sure I'm not missing anyone. Getting near the bottom of the chat now. We've got Spurs fan 1982. Hi to you all. Come on, you Spurs. Hoping for a win to start turning the tide today. We could really do it one, my man. Look, at the end of the day, I just want to win games of football. That's all I want, and hopefully it starts today. Big up round table talk. Morning, fellas. Good to see you. Finn Rickwood as well. Afternoon, guys. Great to see you, my man. And then we have this. We've got 3 more, and then we will crack on. We've got this. Hamstring injuries are on Ange. His style and being allergic to rotate caused crisis. Only good things going now. Gray, Bergvall, Spence have refused to play until he had to. He gets no credit for that. Fair enough, Matthew, my man. Fair enough. We've got Ilmatic, big up. Come on, you Spurs. True chicken thing. Dirt sandwich. Levy out. Good to see you, my man. And we've also got Wilson T in the house as well. Great to see you. He says afternoon all. And then Tiger Lily, afternoon, guys. Great to see you. Chris Benoit as well. And then Drew says, I'd love to, but at work, lad, I'll take my normal punishment on Sunday morning. Look forward to it, Drew. I do look forward to it. Big up, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. Guys, look, let's start cracking into some talking points. Now, look, I'm going to be brutally honest with anybody. I'm just putting questions out there. Whatever way people answer them is the way the show goes. It's not designed to be positive. It's not designed to be negative. I'm just going to bring the talking points. So if it's not, I'm just warning you. If it's not for you, that's fine, guys. That is fine. Because I don't want to have anyone giving out, oh, you're not pumping everyone up. It's a pre-match build-up, not a pre-match pump-up. Pre-match pump-up was on We Are Tottenham TV. But let's get it going. Look, we'll start with you, Donovan. We'll bring you and Dermot in, and we'll come back to Jack. Donovan, Tottenham currently sitting 9th with 11 points, just outside the top 8 in the Europa League table with 2 games to go. How important is it to secure 2 wins against Hoffenheim this week and Asperg next week, which should be enough to see us qualify for last 16 without needing the playoff? And we could do it avoiding the playoff because of the injury crisis.
Well, yeah, you just nailed it on the head there, Davo. We don't need any extra games right now. We're barely getting over the line. And when I say over the line, I mean to halftime. Right now, it's kind of out in the hatches, give everything we can. And Ange Bell's unrelenting. He's not going to let up on his tactics. He's come out to his own detriment, playing this way, and fair play. It's brought him success everywhere he's been. But it's clear to see these relegation fodder players haven't been tested to this physical level in their career before. And so you're separating the wheat from the chaff now, right? So go out there, grind hard, get your result, get back on the plane, go home, recover, get in an ice bath, rest those hamstrings, and go again. So yeah, let's get this result on the board, because it's clear to see our ownership group's cooking behind the scenes or something, because this is negligent. This is negligent. I know I'm going off on a tangent right now, but it's
work away, lads, work away.
It's absolutely negligent what's going on right now at this football club. We are one of the pristine attractions for world football, not just our stadium, not just our training ground, but we're in London, apparently the home of football in the world, and we can't seem to attract any players, anyone. Buhang Lange has been missing. Missing person report was filed for him a couple weeks ago, and it's been a laughable state. So just for the fans and just for us as individuals too, to like have some pride and respect in the badge, we owe it to the fans to get a result. So we want to look forward, but we'll start with today. Let's keep our focus on today, and let's get 3 points today.
No, look, hopefully we can. And I have a follow-up question for you. Just hold tight, my man. Big up Paul G. Yeah, I don't know why that is, my man, but look, this one has flashed up, so really appreciate it, my man. Big up Paul G. He says, looking forward to the game tonight. Weirdly, do you know what? Look, this is the thing. Despite the results, I look forward to every single game. I think every single game is an opportunity to put things right, turn the corner. It's always been like that for me. So let's wait and see what we can do today, Paul G. But really appreciate the support, my man. Very, very kind of you. But Donovan, the follow-up question. Look, it's fair to say that you haven't yet given up on Ange Postecoglou, and that's fine. There's lots of people out there that haven't still. Tottenham are without 10 players. Tottenham were without 10 players for Sunday's 3-2 defeat to Everton. I brought up the injury list today. Well, I think we're missing now a further 4 or 5 from that squad, that was already cut short against Everton. I mean, how confident are you that Postecoglou can lead the team to victory today in Hoffenheim and keep the season on track? Because, so far away from home, it has been poor under Postecoglou.
Yeah. He's got a young group of players to work with now. We were dubbed the kindergarten squad, or the kindergarten bench, or whatever they said. Right? And it seems they kick us when we're down, right? And begrudgingly praise us when you play well, or it's always the opposition who played like crap. You could argue. I'll give it the flip way of it. Like, the argument is that maybe you look at Ange Postecoglou's record in Europe versus Celtic. He's played really high intense press at the Bernabeu, and he's brought in his Ange ball to Europe, but he's faltered there short as well. So it's really about the belief that the squad has in each other, and the energy and stuff they're going to exert today. It's more of the players, really, of like what kind of mentality they have, because Madison's going to be thrust in the limelight. Richarlison's going to be bouncing back from that injury. I don't know if you have a Mikey Morris playing today, but it's those players that are going to have to step up and really deliver today. Ange Postecoglou can give them all the tactics and training and pre-match bravado he wants, but the reality of the fact is that these players are playing for their wages and playing for this club. So, answer your question, am I confident Ange Postecoglou can get a victory over the line? Yeah, I'm confident Ange Postecoglou can get us. I'm confident that Antonio Conte could have got us over the line. I was confident that Jose Mourinho could go over the line. I was confident Pochettino was. You look back to this year, we were joking about it, like I think it was the last game or the last fan show or whatever it was, about how this has an echo of that glory run when we were playing away at Barcelona and we needed some results to go for us. We had such a shit run of form in a similar fashion, where we weren't as far down the league as we were, but we had an injury crisis. We had Wanyama, one of the best defensive mids in the league, didn't even play a game that season. Dembele went. We had Son with a broken arm, getting us through Dortmund, right?
Son was out for a large part of that run as well, wasn't he? Kane was out for a large part of that run.
Yeah, everyone remembers Fabian Delph starting for the first time abruptly in that Champions League and then breaking Kane's ankle like 10 minutes in, right? So it's really ironic how that happened, right? So we know that this team has guile and belief, and it's the fans that inject that into the players, right? It begins with the fans, right? There's a 12th man, right? So it's really about this defeatist mentality. You said something, Dave, about you speak your own reality, and you start throwing the words like relegation around, or knockouts, or sacking managers and stuff. Well, obviously that's going to translate back to the first squad. So long-winded answer. Yeah, I believe Ange Postecoglou is at the Minerals, right? He stole the world's heart with that Australia squad in 2014 World Cup, right? Never would have thought that man would have managed Tottenham Hotspur, but really it's up to the players and the faith we have in these players. And if Madison had a dart date or something this weekend, I'd think he'd give a 10 out of 10 performance, right? But unfortunately, we have to see what kind of Madison turns up today, and if he leads the squad. And today we're going to be playing against a really out of form Hoffenheim too. So hopefully we can take advantage of that, and hopefully they're dead now for the count. We can kind of just roll over them. But we have to win today.
I think Postecoglou's got a big job to try and galvanise the troops, because I think there's probably one or two that aren't with him anymore, that don't believe in him, that he's probably going to have to select today. Then I think you've got people that are just low in confidence, and they're the hardest ones to pick up, to get them to believe in themselves and that. And I think he's got a big job going around the sort of squad to try and do that for tonight's game. Just pick people up, make them realise, if I'm him, say, look, guys, even if you don't want to play for me, I've probably gone here in February if this keeps going, but do it for yourself. Get yourself into the last 16 of Europe. Do yourself proud. So hopefully something like that can come today. Big up Martin. Knightsbridge afternoon, boys. We're down to the bare bones and we're in this mess. It's really tough to be confident, but I'm Dave and Jack will big it up.
We'll try.
Do you know what? Look, the way I see it is, I believe every game we go in, it's a chance to turn the corner. And I think tonight, you look at the opposition, they're not in great form. Neither are we, which might help us to a degree, and hopefully we can just scrape it over the line. A bit like what we've done against Coventry. Out of confidence, out of form, just scrape it over the line, and then hopefully, that lift can sort of release all the pressure like a pin into a pressure valve, and, just release it all and, get people going again. Let's wait and see. But big up Martin, good to see you. Big up Chen Mehmet as well, great to see you. Foggy Foam says, big up guys, what's the point of having Lang? Man, Steve Hitchin was useless, but geez, this guy's the piss taker. We nearly in the relegation zone and he's doing nothing. I mean, it's absolutely shocking. It's absolutely shocking. This guy is a fraud. I don't know.
It's bad when someone's already saying this early that Steve Hitchin might have been better.
I've never seen a director of football get wanted posters and missing posters made about him. It's disgraceful. Big up. I think this is the one you were probably trying to send through, Paul G. Looking forward to tonight. I'm too optimistic. Look, not a bad place to be, Paul. Not a bad place to be. Dermo, let's bring you in, buddy. Reports indicate that Tottenham are supporting Ange Postecoglou and are not looking to sack him. How big of an opportunity is tonight's game against Hoffenheim and the game at the weekend against Leicester for Postecoglou to buy himself some breathing room? Because a win tonight could put us on the brink of last 16 in Europa League, and a victory over Leicester this weekend, it probably would go a long way to saying we ain't getting relegated or even being dragged into a relegation battle in the Premier League.
Look, we're not going to get relegated. I think everyone's been so dramatic. Yeah, we're at the bottom end of the table. Yeah, we're only 8 points off the bottom three, but we're not getting relegated. Let's be serious here. I can understand some people getting a little bit excited that, we're in the relegation and we're going to get relegated. We're not going to get relegated. We'll get our players back. We'll get a couple of wins and then we're back up that table again. Yes, it's been a disappointing season. Yes, it's not what we expected. Yes, things haven't gone the way we wanted them. We've had masses of injuries. That could be down to the manager, down to the training facilities. It could be down to the medical team. It could be down to a number of different factors. And this is just our year. We get hit with everything at once. So, look, Ange does need a couple of wins. Managers have been sacked for less. So, if you put it just on the manager performances, they're not good enough. They're really not good enough, but we're not going to get relegated. If we get relegated, I will eat this top live on your show, Dave. That's how confident I am we're not getting relegated. But he does need win. I think he needs wins for confidence. He needs wins for the fans to get behind him. And he needs wins, I think, to gain confidence within the squad as well. But Romero's back in training. Van der Ven's going to be back by the end of January. We've got Bentancur back here. We've got Bentancur back now coming back. We've got a few players coming back. And if we do get a couple of people in the window, which I would fall over and faint if we did, we're going to be grand. We're not getting relegated. So people just relax, chill out, be angry at the team. All right, we're in a difficult position, but we're not getting relegated. Sounds like we're all getting over dramatic. We're getting relegated. I've heard it all now. Sorry. That wasn't a dig at you, by the way, David.
No, gee, I know that. Look, I think, there is Spurs fans that look at it and they're worried. Like, I can understand, where people get that fear. If you look at the manager, you don't believe him. You look at the club, you don't believe in them. I think, I can very fully understand where they get that fear. But I do think you beat Leicester, you put yourself close to 32 points, which I think will be enough to sort of beat off that talk. So, and, you win the 2 games, all of a sudden it breeds a little bit of excitement. If you can sprinkle a couple of signings on top of that, better late than never. Suppose then, hopefully it can reinvigorate us for the second half of the season. Neil G says, really don't know whether to watch Spurs tonight or not. I'm really not confident anymore. Either way, I'll have your watch along firmly on. Now, look, I really appreciate it. Look, watch Spurs. It's what we do, right? Regardless of what we're going through. We bloody love this club. That's why we sit here and go through all the pain. That's why we sit here and let people call us idiots, deluded, etc. Because we love this club. You know what I mean? Regardless who's in charge, what players we have, who owns the football club, we're Spurs. That's what we are.
Whether it's in the Ashes
or not.
Every game, yeah. Whether it's in the Ashes, whether we're building back up from League One, or there's still going to be, Spurs fans just getting up for every game and trying to get their fix. Really, it's just our fix. It's just what it is. Neil G, thank you, man. Thanks for supporting us, and thanks for hopefully the watch along goes smoothly today. Best of luck to it.
Hopefully we have done some work on it in the background, so hopefully it works out today, guys. International Observer, Ange has become the story. He has to go. We are a football club, not PR firm. We seem to only talk about Ange. For that alone, he needs to go. Fair enough. Well, I think, look, when you're not winning games, the manager does become the story. It's the first thing that everybody looks at because it's the cheapest option to replace at a football club. But I do understand what you're saying, my man. We've got Adam D says at least the results have exposed the issues with squad management. If it happens again, there'll be no excuses. Fair point, my man. Absolutely fair point. But look, let's crack on and let's give Jack a question here. Jack, to you, my man. Postecoglou surprised many by switching to a back 3 against Everton, deviating from his usual back 4, which left some fans like me and you puzzled. Do you think this tactical change signals a realization that his typical approach isn't sustainable due to the current injury crisis, or was it simply a reflection of a manager under pressure trying to spark reaction from his team? And we'll let you answer, and I want to get the two boys' thoughts off the back of it as well.
I think he's had such a personal head loss over all the injuries and all of the losing, to be frank. He's just been losing a lot of games, and I think he's been losing. I think he was given a pretty long leash by the club. He was probably allowed to drop points here and there, have some bad results here and there, stay in the cups, which he has done. But it's just the way that we have been just tanking in the league, and the way that the performances have just really been tanking. I feel like, and we've been getting wind of this, Dave, and probably might come up at some point later in the show, but they are starting to creep in, despite when we were told initially that, he's being backed, they're engined, the board, they're not wavering at all on him. We're getting those rumors that, there are starting to be some question marks, and maybe there are starting to be some divides within the club over whether he is the guy or not. And so when you're that sort of manager in that sort of position, despite how much he's said, this is the way we play, this is who we are, mate, I do wonder if he started to think about making some tweaks to just try to get over the line. And also, I mentioned this to you, that game was not a good one to try to be, kind of a must win for him, because Everton away has never been kind to Spurs. David Moyes has never been kind to Ange. I think David Moyes has like a 3-1, 4-1 record or something like at this point, against Ange. He's done very well against Ange. David Moyes, and I'm not even David Moyes' biggest fan. I'm actually probably quite negative towards him, but it does seem like he has Ange's number. And I wonder if Ange kind of went into that game knowing that, thinking he had to go for something different. He even alluded to that. Like, he sort of said, oh, well, this is how games have gone before against them. We had to sort of do this, do that to, account for this. And he seemed to talk about making tweaks because maybe he knew that if he went the way he has been going, that they would have lost. And that just screams to me to a guy that's just unsure, and also at a head loss over all the injuries, all the things that have gone against him, all the things that just haven't gone his way, and also just the fact that when you're losing games, Dave, I mean, you're going to start questioning what you're doing, even yourself, even if you believe in yourself.
So you don't think it's something to do with him, maybe a recognition that you can't keep asking the players to play the way you want to play through this injury crisis. You're going to have to try and maybe mix it up and try and do something different.
It could be that, but I'd be surprised because it seems like he could have done that maybe a long time ago. Like, it seems like that was kind of obvious to him maybe a while ago. Like, once, you know, Van de Ven, Romero, all these guys started dropping like flies, you think you would have already started to account for those tactics. If he's starting to do that, it's a little too little too late for me.
Okay.
Maybe that's harsh, but it just seems like then he's kind of just been blind to it, you know.
No,
this
look,
whole time.
I think it's a fair answer.
I think it's
to the
just a guy
question,
desperate to get a win, and so he's just trying something different.
No, look, I think it's a fair answer to the question. You know, if there was that reg, why not do it? You know, a long time ago. I think that's absolutely a fair point. Dermo, where are you on it with the change up? You know, for the everything game, because look, me and myself and Donovan, we had complete different points of view on it on Monday. Now, look, to be fair, I've sort of come around thinking, you know, was it to do with personnel available? You know, was he trying to contain them first half and look to go at them in the second half because he knew Richarlison wouldn't get a full 45? But the plan was Ben Davies wasn't supposed to play the full 90. Where do you stand on the drastic change up? Man under pressure, or a man or a recognition to you can't play the same way with the amount of injuries we've got?
I think it was a slight. I said it on my own show on Sunday when I did my team talk. I called it a desperate throw by a desperate manager. That's how I actually saw it on Sunday. But thinking about it, looking back on it, he had to change it. There was no other opportunity. He couldn't do anything else but change it. And let's be fair, fans have been calling for him to play three at the back. They've been calling for it. We need to play three at the back. We need to play three at the back. So he played three at the back. And we got absolutely mullered. So that sort of throws that sort of idea out the window. But
why the drastic change up, Dermo? Why?
I think he was desperate. It's a desperate throw by a desperate manager. No wins. He's in the his team has lost for confidence. He's changing it. Would that bring us some luck? Would that bring us the win? Would that do something different? I think it was a desperate throw from a manager that is in a hell of a lot of stress. He's been backed by the club. I love to know how the club are backing him. Are they backing him with words? Are they backing him with
they're backing him with time, which is free, Dermo. They're backing him with time, which is free.
That's great. That's great from the owners. That's backing with time. And like, I could back you and Jack with time. Like, I could keep saying to you, you do a manager and under pressure. Yeah, I'm backing them. But backing them, you need to back them with action, not words. That proves you're backing the manager. And that leads me to believe, are they fully behind Ange Postecoglou the board? And I don't think they are. I think personally, this is my own opinion, is I think they went to the end of the window. I think they went to have another manager ready to come in, so we don't have to go to Ryan Mason, and did what they did when Poch was sacked. Sack one manager, hire another manager straight away. A bit like when Nuno was sacked as well. That's just my own opinion. That's my gut feeling. But look, Ange Postecoglou can't win. He can't do anything, can he? He can't do anything right. He can't. He getting injuries all over the place. He tries a different formation. We get mullered. He gets shouted at by the fans. He gets shouted at by the media. He gets injured. He just can't catch a break. And you end up starting to feel sorry for the guy. You're thinking, Jesus Christ, can this man, did he break a window or walk under a ladder or something? Or kick a black cat? He just can't break. He cannot catch a break. And I feel Sunday, I finish as I started. A desperate throw by a desperate manager. That's how I saw Sunday.
Be careful to talk about kicking cats. I thought Kurt Zuma was going to pop up behind you, and there's also a Spurs fan that I believe Philip Brady said it before. He chased me around for about 2 years, you know. So be careful. You don't want that heat.
Allegedly. Can I just put allegedly? And it was a toy cat. It was stuffed. Just to get you off. Just get them off your back, Dave. Sorry. Hang on, the RSP say you're at my door. I'm being arrested for kicking the toy cat. Sorry.
Well, they'll have to delay it due to the storm anyway, so you'll get the weekend. You'll be free for the weekend.
I'd be grand to
yeah. Donovan, over to you, my man, because look, we had this discussion. You know where I stand on it. Where I think, maybe it was a day. a desperate roll of the dice from a manager under pressure. Do you think, you know, one thing maybe I don't think we did discuss on Monday was, do you think it could be down to a recognition that, look, we can't play this way with the injuries we've got?
Yeah, I'll put my peak delusion cap on now. Where it's like, man, I'd make a good soldier, man. Like, just tell me what to do and I'll do whatever, right? Like the blindlessly faith from a manager. No, we lead by faith, not by sight. No, I believe that it has to do with a couple things. That the fact that we've signed one of the generational talents in world football, and I'll bring it to Archie Gray here. Like, this lad is a talent. He's like the Musa's Dembele regen with his pivoting. He's the ability on the ball and composure out of the back line, like Jan Vertonghen. The guy is silky. The guy is already in the top 5 to 10 percentile of players in the Premier League, and he's 18 years old, and he's only been thrust in the limelight due to a circumstance of injury. If we had a fully fit squad, we wouldn't have seen this, right? We wouldn't have seen him. He would have been playing a Mikey Moore bit part role. He might have been coming off the bench and starting some Europa League games. And the crazy part is we haven't even seen this lad in his natural position, in a position where he is, where he's confident in, and he feels his ability he can put forth his best contribution to the team. He's been an auxiliary player in a toolkit of this season. And I think long term, that's going to help him. That's going to help his career. He's going to be even a better player for that. I think now that when he's in that 6, the shackles are almost off, because you are disciplined to stay in your role and cover that space and protect your back 4. But now that he's not a center back and it's all relying on him, I think we're going to see even levels to it. So that being said, I think Ange Postecoglou was, he was flirting with a bit of different tactics, but I think he was trying to do this. Personally, I didn't even see a back 3, like a solid back 3, like a Conte back 3, or like a Nuno Espirito at Wolves back 3, where you look back and there's a bank of 3, and then you have that ball playing center back, and you have these 2 pacey kind of sweeper things that behind that can play out of the back. I saw this modified back 4 with a higher pushed up Porro, and I look back to this one year of the title we were in, and they had this Mexican left back who was unreal. He was great. Right back, he was unreal. He was great. He was defensively sound. He can get up and down that pitch, but you play him as a right mid, so you can exploit people going forward. But then out of possession, you slot back into that back 5. And Archie Gray playing that right-sided center back has a freedom, basically in that whole kind of heat map of that last little third of the pitch there, to go in, play those passes, step into a Basuma like half pivot, a double pivot, I should say, and be able to play those balls. Where he got it wrong, though, I will concede what Jack was saying there. This was a wrong game to try it. This is a tough away venue that is not just relentless for the fans, but the pressure that David Moyes just took over. But after having Sean Dyche bark at you for the last how many months to go in there and just break legs and go in hard tackles and stuff, that's how the Evertonians have played pretty much in the Premier League. I look back to Leighton Baines playing, right? And then seeing old-fashioned Lukaku being able to get his goals because he's had guys kick the crap out of him the whole time. So when you got that high pressure, you're in a pressure cooker environment, and you need desperate points on the board, you're going to play with a certain level of desperation, regardless if you're a professional footballer or not. And you saw that in the first goal when Archie Gray tried to make that recovery tackle, and he got his wires crossed, and he basically bumped into Dragusin, causing Dragusin to completely fumble the block. And next thing you know, Kinski can't even make a reaction because there's so much chaos going on in the box. So, long story, I don't think it had anything to do with more than a manager trying to use a player that has shown that he has the ability to take on these level of tactics. But I think it was a bad choice of timing. I think it was, but I go back to the necessity is the mother of all invention. You know, like, okay, can we play Ange ball? Can we play a progressive form of ball where we are brave on the ball and we play out of the back and we play it in a high pressure environment? But can we use the tools at our disposal that we can still use a left-sided center back, because Benjamin Davies, regardless of what happened, is going to play that game. He's got the Premier League experience. You know, Ange rewards that, rightly or wrongly. You see Forster in the Europa League squad today. Not today. I don't know if he's injured, but you see him picked over Jed Spence. You see him honor the club legacy of like, that's one of the biggest things he's renowned for, is that going into these clubs and bigging up their past and respecting the culture. The man's been here less than 2 years and he's already talking about Bill Neck. He's talking about all these legends of the past. So regardless, Ben Davies is going to play that game. So to have a left-sided left foot center back and still incorporate Archie Gray, I think he was just trying to put all these pieces together and try and make this puzzle that what can you really do, right? You don't even have a recognized six. So I think he was just trying to use Archie Gray in a way that got him in the six, but also could keep him on the back line. And I just don't think it worked. I don't think it worked. I'll concede that, but I don't think it has anything to do with him switching his philosophy or him desperately going back on his word or a man out of ideas. I think it's just a fact that we had 8-9 first team players fit.
Do you know what? For me, I do. I do think it gives credence to the notion that he's tactically inept. Now, look, I don't personally think that he wouldn't have won and got to where he's got to with being tactically inept. But the fact that he tried it and we were 3-0 down to Everton, who scored a fifth of their goals against us in one half of football that they've scored all season long, it does give more credence to that sort of argument, and it didn't help Postecoglou. But saying that, many fans have asked him to try it. He's tried it, and we see it doesn't work, or we need more time on it for it to ever really work going forward. But look, let's wait and see what he does tonight. Does he try and do the same thing? Does he go with something different? I think it would be very, very interesting. But
can I caveat one thing there?
Yeah, work away.
So, like, that being said, and you're totally right about the fact that it didn't work. But the fact that he reverted back to type, that just shows the belief in his mentality of, hey, okay, you know what, lads, Archie, sit back, man. It's not working. Like you're not covering that space. You look at the midfield too. When you do play that and you do step in that midfield, that left-sided center mid you have to have really good communication because there's so much space left open there. Like if you're coming from the right-sided center back and that left center mid, you aren't on the same wavelength. That whole space was exploited, and we saw the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin jumping in that half space, winning flick-ons. We saw them take advantage of that, and it wasn't working. So he switched it up, and I think Jack came on and said that, ironically, if he started with that formation, we probably could have won the game. Yeah, maybe we could have. But the fact that he did return to type and the players did buckle down, and you could argue that Everton put their foot off the gas and let us back into that game, but you have to take advantage of the opportunities that are given to you. And the fact that the players are coached, they're well-versed, and they've shown that, hey, we have faith in this formation so we can go back to the blueprint if we need to. I mean, that's something to build off of. And that's something that hopefully today, when we go into this another pressure environment, because these Hoffenheim fans are going to be looking at us, and everybody wants to kick an English team when they're down. So I'm hoping that we can just resort back to type and play this progressive, high line, high octane, play brave front foot passes out of the back, without having confusing player positions and players that aren't in the right spots or players taking up new areas of the pitch. And, then it becomes robotic. Then it becomes a system that we've seen work in the past and getting these big results away. So anyway, Ange flipping back to reverting back to type rather than him putting his nose and stubbornly, as Ange has been quoted, being stubborn. Let's see this game out, guys. Come on, we can do this. No, I got my hands up, hold my hands up, switch it back. That just shows that, the man might be stubborn, but at least he does have the common sense to understand when something's working and when something isn't. So I'll just leave it at that.
I'm glad he switched it back. I don't want him to start playing things that he's just not quite used to playing at this football club with these players. I'm glad he switched it back. However, I do think he left it too long. As soon as we went 2-0 down, maybe at 1-0 he's not going to switch it, but as soon as it went to 2, all the fans could see what was coming. He knew what was coming. And I do think then he should have rearranged the personnel on the pitch before halftime. But saying that, Son missed chances as well. He could have got us back into the game. Then you push on in the second half. You might salvage something for it if Son takes them chances on another day as well. But look, hopefully tonight, I think we're all in agreement. We want to see a back four. We don't want to see this back three, heading into this game. Let's welcome one or two more people in that I've seen pop in as we're going on. And then I do want to talk about this Sammy Mockbell article at the Daily Mail. We've got John Bostich in the house. Great name, Bostich, actually, by the way. Great name. Big up, lads. Good to see you, Bostich. Great name. And then, we've Blaine Devlin in the house as well. Ray Hill as well. Good to see you, Bean Man. Colin Turner. Great to see you, my man. And then we've got Blaine Devlin says, yo guys. So let's assume Levy finds an old fiver at the back of the wardrobe for transfers. Who would you like to see and why? Come on, you Spurs, 3-1 win tonight. Look, we'll go around the house. We'll get a name off everybody. And then we'll see where people are at. Look, quite frank, right now it's fresh air. That's all we're getting. What's annoying me? I was sitting there thinking about it the other night. It's one thing the board coming out and saying, "Oh, we're going to back him. We're going to give him time. Time's free." Giving something that's free in this situation right now ain't going to improve it. It ain't going to help it. You're going to have to use money. You're going to have to use investment. Put money where your mouth is. And so far, it's a slow window. But we're trying to work out why. We haven't got answers. Is it because of Johan Lang is incapable, which is the narrative I'm putting out there? Or is it because we can't get players to this football club because of Postecoglou or because of the situation we're in? And we just don't know. And I think that's more the frustrating thing around this window right now, Blaine. Who do we want? Jack, we'll go with you. We'll go around. We'll start with you, my man.
I'm desperate for some sort of quality in the forward line, Blaine. There's so many transfers I can name. We need to get center backs. We need left-sided defenders. We need more midfielders. We need to replace some of the midfielders that we already have. But for me, it's just a headache watching this forward line. If I can only really take one sort of position to improve with only 7 days left, basically, of this transfer window, it'd have to be a forward line player. There aren't really the guys that we want, like the Semenyos, the Mbumos of the world, those sort of guys I just don't think are going to be available. You'd have to chalk up real money. And I just don't think also the clubs would sell at this stage of the window. It'd be ludicrous if they did. So I think you have to go for something realistic. Like it's going to have to be, sadly, Levy signing opportunistic sort of type of deal where somebody wants to leave the club. It's in the interest of the club for them to leave. We can strike a deal. It sort of suits us. I'm curious if that guy, I don't watch too much of Dortmund because they've been pretty awful. But that guy, the English player, I think Bino Gittins, he's actually kind of similar to, he's very young. I'd still say very raw. That's kind of my thing with him. That he still comes across as a bit raw, but he has, again, like what we would have gotten if Odebear were fit, a guy that runs out as, defender, runs out as fullback, creates a bit of space, can get in good crosses, and also just knows how to get into the penalty area. So he looks pretty good from what I've watched of him. Both that was more last season than this season, but he seems like somebody that we could get because Dortmund are terrible and they just sacked Nuri Sahin, their manager. So I'm wondering if we could pounce on a kind of a rotting situation there.
Interesting.
Because we can't get the Semenyos and stuff that we want, Dave.
Well,
it's not realistic for 7 days left of a transfer window. Even though we want those type of players, it's just not going to happen, unfortunately.
Well, look, the three names I'm going to put out there are probably not realistic this window anyway, but Semenyo is one of them. You know how much I've liked him, Jackson, since the start of the season. I'd really like him. I think Milos Kerkesh at Bournemouth as well. If you're talking about another left back, I think would be brilliant. Why not try Eze at Palace or Liam Delap at Ipswich? I think that guy coming in here would give you everything you need up front. The relentless work rate, hold up play, scores goals, very good on the ball, can create. So there would be the names that I would be looking at. Maybe a Mateusz Cunha at Wolves. It's clear that he's way too good to be there. There'd be the names that I'd be looking at. Donovan or Darmo, sorry, have you any names?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Just any fucking body. I don't care if the dustman, the postman, and the man that works in the local shop. Just sign somebody, please. It's ridiculous. I mean, we signed one goalkeeper. I mean, it's shocking. I mean, I don't know what Lang and Mon are doing in the recruitment office. Are they just sitting there watching Postman Pat videos all day? Teletubbies or something? You and Jack would do a better job. I'm nominating you two for the recruitment team of Tottenham. You two do a better job.
I wouldn't be able to do the negotiations. That's where I'd fall down.
No, Jack would do that. You find the players. Jack gets the players in. See,
good cop, bad cop.
If you're watching, get the lads in.
I don't even know if Dave and I could add the wages together, correctly, but maybe we could give it a go.
Player
But
asked
no,
me
like
for
I'll double back
bonus.
and say it has to be opportunistic. You could throw 1,000 names out there, and then people would say, "Oh, unrealistic." The only reason I mentioned Gittins is because I just don't think Dortmund are in a good place right now, and they're also kind of in a position where they might want to sell some of their assets and some of their players to try to rebuild and try to start again. But because they've kind of been in sort of this weird sort of fall for the past few years, I'm curious if they're in a position to technically sell some of their better players. And he's very young, very talented, and English. So it seems like one that Levy would be interested in, even though it might cost a bit of coin. It's more realistic to get someone like him because he's probably more available than because they're just terrible right now. Dortmund, they have no chances, I think, for the rest of their season. So it's just that it's opportunistic signings that we have to look for.
Yeah, I'll give you an opportunistic there. First of all, shout out's a good shout. Like I was watching him last couple of years since he was the next career mode wonder kid, and he's evolved from dribbling down the wing when he was at Juventus there, and just like being that technical player who could beat a couple of men and then get himself caught in that Ronaldo position where he just stuck on the byline facing in. And then he translated his game so he can attack that space in front of the net, and he can really, like I saw this goal in the I don't know if it was a Champions League, it might have been the Pokal, or he takes on two players and bends it almost Nabry like around. So yeah, he's definitely come on leaps and bounds. I'll put according to Spurs, man, I'm just a Div 3 Canadian player, so there's nothing really important to say there. Hey Soren, how you doing, man?
What gets me right is we could have signed Skriniar.
One second,
Sorry,
bro. So like the last Canadian player to go internationally out of Div 3 was a young Jonathan David. And one of my teammates actually played against them, scored a hat trick against them in 30 minutes, and quite a player. Did you score against Liverpool in the Champions League there?
Yep.
Added Lyle side, and I do echo what you said there, Dave. How pardon me, Jack. How this is a window of opportunity, and it screams of Daniel Levy of going in to a side that's not going to advance in the Champions League, to a side that has a player already leaving at the end of his contract. So go in. Drop. We were linked with them like the last 3 transfer windows, 20 million, 25, 22. Go in there, pay the 17 to 15 million dollars or 12 million British pounds that's going to use to get him out of the club. The guy can get us 15 to 20 goal contributions a season, imagine that, a season, and expand that global brand to the North Americas, because football is taking off here in North America, and with the World Cup coming up in 2026. It'd be great to have a nice Tottenham supporter selling out those jerseys and having almost a Sun-like impact in the transfer market there and our jersey sales. But yeah, for me, it's Jonathan David out of Lille. What do you got to say, Dermo? Sorry.
I mean, look, we could have signed Skriniar. We could have gone in for him. He was available. There was a few players we could have gone in for, but we just don't go in for these players. And it gets very frustrating because they keep saying, yeah, we're backing you. Yeah, and David's right, probably backing them with time, but you need to back him with players as well. We desperately need players. We desperately need a defender. And use their logic of, we won't buy your centre-back because you've got 2 coming back. Well, I'm sorry, you need a bigger squad. And what annoys me, Skriniar's now gone to Turkey, I think, hasn't he? Is it Fenerbahce he's gone to in Turkey? We could have got him, no problem. We could have got that other lad that went to Juventus. You know, all we had to do was say, yeah, we'll give you what you want. Get these players in. And it's always, we'll go for the cheaper option. Well, for once in our lives, let's just go for the best option. An option that will help the manager. And it's going to be, Dave, I know where this is heading. This is heading for Ange getting the sack. And then we're going to start again with another manager. And it's going to be rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. To the owners go. This is never going to change. And I keep going back to it. You can slag off Alan Sugar all you want. You rarely can. 1, he saved our football club. 2, he put his money... Sorry, I don't want to be rude. 2, he put his money where his mouth was. He bought in players like Popescu, Demirkrescu, Jurgen Klinsmann. Okay, he wasn't the best chairman in the world. When we got not banned from the FA Cup, docked 6 points and fined, he fought the FA head on and got us back into the FA Cup, which reached the semi-final that year. And we got our points back. He wasn't the greatest chairman in the world, but at least he put his money where his mouth was, and at least he backed managers. Managers come in, good, bad, or indifferent, he backed them.
Fair.
So, do you know, what's Levy ever done? Nothing. Back him just enough. And that's never going to change. And this is from 44 years of being a Spurs fan. So I've seen 4 different owners. This is the worst ownership I can remember.
And Blaine Devlin, maybe just one more player to mention for you, my man. Bakayoko out in the Holland, you know, he's a player that I'd really like, you know, out on that right wing. I think he's a good, tricky little player, maybe someone that we need. But big up, Blaine, my man. Really appreciate support. Want to take a couple more chats, and then we're going to welcome Soren in and kick him off straight away with a question. Mick, don't worry, I will come back to this. I'm starting this for when we start going through the team selection, my man. Martin's Knightsbridge says we're going to start up a Tottenham Anonymous group, then just send them to Dave to deal with. Look, I'd probably just alert them to more problems. I'll probably make them worse, to be honest with you, Martin. Lee says, I think it's both, to be honest, Dave, about the, the switch up at Everton talk. Big up, Jack. Big up, Sebas as well. Great to see you. Said he'd be sacked next week, boys. I think, look, he definitely gets to the Carabao Cup semi-final, and depending on the outcome there. Rory Woods Comedy, good to see you, Rory. Hopefully you're keeping well. First stream in a while. Keep up the good work, lads. Not an easy time to support Spurs. It's not, Rory. Good to see you in the house, my man. Lee the Dorset Spur, great to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well. Surely the recruitment team should be working year-round to create a plan for what we need, not just reacting to what happens as it happens. And look, this is the thing, you know. Postecoglou sat there all December saying he needs reinforcements, and we're sitting here 3 months into a window, you know, without the reinforcements. And then we wonder why Postecoglou's under the pressure he is, especially off the back of the summer transfer window, etc., etc. It's really annoyingly, you know, you'd like to think we had plans, but it's again, I keep saying it stinks of a person who cannot get these deals done for one reason or another. But big up, Lee. Good to see you. We have this from Peter. He says, too many people talking... on here, too many people on here talking bollocks. First of all,
my bad, buddy.
No, look. First of all, I'd prefer some more constructive criticism. That'd be brilliant, you know, rather than let me know what I'm talking bollocks about. Second of all, I'm glad you had the balls to come here, because I did see you slagging me off under a comment section underneath a video earlier on today. And last of all, you're just not listening to what I've been saying all along. In the summer, I was calling out the transfers we were making for Postecoglou, because I knew it was going to put them in this position right now. And now that I've just come to my tether of absolutely everything, all of a sudden you're slagging me off. Make no mistake about it. Postecoglou ain't the problem at Tottenham Hotspur. I've heard that. But I don't think you're listening to exactly what I'm saying. I think, you know, just because I've said one thing you don't like, you've turned or something like that. But I'm glad you've had the balls to come here instead of slagging me off underneath the comments of another video. And big up Ray Hill as well. Sounds like a broken record here, but can someone please explain why Phillips or Sullivan have not been brought back this month when we are so short players? And this is another thing that's frustrating me. So many players out on loan. If you can't get deals done, bring players back.
Phillips is the more perplexing one, isn't it, though? Like, right? Phillips, like, left-sided center back, right-sided center back. Like, he's not too bad on the ball. He's tall, physical. Like, I understand he does need development, probably at a lower level, like, to be fair. But when you are desperate, Dave, it is baffling that we have just continued to roll Archie Gray out game after game after game after game, throwing Dragic in when he barely has even, you know, all the stitches still, you know, put in his head yet. You know, we're just rolling him back in. You know, it just feels a little ridiculous. And Dragic, to be fair, I mean, we'll probably talk about this later, but I don't even think he has played especially well in every game. So, like, you know, it'd be nice to have someone that he could have competed with, you know, like a Phillips or something. He didn't trust Dorrington, it looked like, and she wanted to give him time away from the club. It is a bit baffling. Sorry to cut across you there, but the Phillips one is more perplexing to me than the Solomon one. The Solomon one seems complicated.
And I just wonder, if you start seeing that happen, is it a reflection that we're not getting anyone in, and if, you know, we're bringing back bodies to try and, you know, alleviate the situation? I think the next week and a half of the transfer window is certainly going to be a very, very interesting one. Big up, Emily, appreciate support there, and big up Billy Shears as well. Big up Dave and the lads, you legends. I appreciate that, my man. Good to see you in the house. But look, I want to bring Soren in here, and then we'll get everybody's thoughts on this. Probably just going to open up a whole minefield here anyway. First of all, Soren, great to see you, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. Hopefully you're a lot better than, you know, the state we've seen you in at the weekend. Hopefully you're feeling a lot better, man. But look, I want to get your views on this article from Sammy Mockbell of the Daily Mail, who has said, as ever in football, how the players view Postecoglou differs depending on who you talk to. Some still swear by the boss. Others are less convinced. Certain players have privately complained about the demands of training and the schedule. The club's injury list does not ease some players' concerns that their output needs reducing, and they want their output reducing. Staying in a hotel the day before games, regardless of location and kickoff time, has also caused consternation. The team's expansive attacking approach, or more pertinently, Postecoglou's apparent refusal to adapt it. There was shock within the squad when Postecoglou dropped captain Son and Maddison as well earlier this month. Both big characters, and such decisions often have consequences, particularly when results don't improve. Now, look, I don't buy into this because I've heard this under Jose Mourinho. I've heard this come out towards the end of Conte's time, where players didn't want to work on set pieces. Conte put too much emphasis on them, yet they're conceding from set pieces left, right, and centre. Work that one out. So I don't buy into any of this bollocks whatsoever. But do you think there is any truth in it? And what players?
You know what? I've had enough of the bullshit that's been spread about, because you're always going to get somebody that's not happy, whether they're playing or not. You're always going to get somebody moaning. You're always going to get somebody making a story up to fit an agenda, with some parts of truth, some parts not. Oh my God, they've had to stay in a hotel the night before they've gone to play a match.
I know, imagine that.
I mean, imagine that. You know, I'm sure it's never happened in the world of football before. You know, and then we hear, oh, the Hoffenheim fans have been letting fireworks out off at 2 a.m. Don't think this is the first time we've heard this sort of story. Players moaning that training's too hard. Well, which players? You know, the problem with coming out with a statement like that is there will never be any proof whether it's true or not, because none of the players are done up to it. And when they do, you don't know whether they're the ones that were, or whether they're jumping on a gravy boat, or whatever you want to call it. And do you know what? I am just fed up. I mean, there was one earlier today where, Ange Postecoglou's fallen out with the chief of medical staff or whatever.
Yeah, Scott Joff.
Yeah, and then it turns out it's a load of bollocks. Yeah, I mean, what? But everybody jumped on it. Well, what's to say it wasn't Ange asking what the hell's going on with the medical team? You know, why does everybody just assume it's the medical team coming to Ange and blaming him for everything? And look, too many people want to find an excuse just to slag off either Ange Postecoglou, Daniel Levy, or the team in general. And it's about time it stopped. It really is. And look, none of them are innocent in any of it. We know that they're all as bad as each other. And then everybody's moaning, Ange just come out and said that we might not sign anybody. Well, what's he supposed to say? Tell us all that he's going to sign somebody. And then we don't sign somebody. And then all of a sudden, he's a yes man, he's a no man, and what, 3 bags full man. And then jumping back. Now, I could be out of order here because obviously I jumped on halfway through the conversation. But Dermot, you know I love you, man, but stop talking bollocks. What's the point in signing Skriniar when he's not an Ange Postecoglou type player? We can't just keep going and buying players just for the sake of signing somebody. We've had this for so long that, we're not signing a player. And I get the frustration. I'm as frustrated as anybody, but we went out and bought Jed Spence. Conte didn't want to play him because he wanted his player. Skriniar would have been perfect for Conte. You go under Ange Postecoglou, why aren't we signing Skriniar? He's available. Well, there's maybe a reason we haven't signed Skriniar, because he's available. We didn't want him. Maybe we did want him. Maybe he didn't want to come to us. Same as Moane. Why didn't we put an extra 5 million in or whatever? The guy didn't want to come to us. We've got to stop all this bullshit going around and, we're going to sign this player, we're going to sign that player. We're not going to sign half of these players to start with. And then if we are going to sign them, do they want to come to us? Because I'll tell you what, if I was a professional footballer or a professional manager at the moment, Tottenham Hotspur is the last frigging team I would want to go to, because it's an absolute shambles. Whether that's Postecoglou's fault, whether it's Daniel Levy's fault, whether it's the whole thing. At the moment, we are just a bloody laughing stock. And until we get out of it, then we've got to stop. And why aren't we signing any players? Well, two or three reasons. We're either up for sale and they ain't going to spend any more money. Two, they're getting rid of Postecoglou just as soon as this transfer window's open or finished and we're moving on. So what's the point in buying more players for him if we're not going to back him? And two, if we are backing him and he's turned around and said, these are the players I want, if we can't get them, I don't want any more, then we're doing what he's asked. Now, everybody who keeps chucking all this crap out there doesn't have a clue what's going on in the club. That's the problem. We're all speculating as normal. So until we move on, then I'm sorry, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And I just don't know what to make of it anymore. I mean, you know, I'm as positive as it comes when it comes to Tottenham Hotspur, but the amount of shit that's going on at the moment about our club is just absolutely unbelievable. It really is.
So, look, I definitely don't agree with I think, look, what I would say with the Sammy Mockbell article, no smoke without fire. But to Lee's point, you know, Lee Dorset Spurs point here, where is it? I think I've lost it. Give me a second. No, I haven't. I found it. He says, if training is too hard for a professional athlete, then maybe sport isn't for you. And this is the problem, you know. We're developing a culture at Tottenham Hotspur, and a bit like Man United, and that's why they're not successful anymore. Because the players are running the dressing room. If the players are running the dressing room, it doesn't matter what manager you bring in and what he's trying to do. They can just throw him under the bus. And the problem is, you know, we have to try and get rid of that culture at Tottenham. Is that maybe what Daniel Levy's trying to do? We don't know about Ange Postecoglou. That could be what he's trying to do. Trying to change that culture. Say, look, guys, you can't just down tools when you feel like it. We're paying you good money. We paid good transfer fees to get you here. You have to try your best. But you know, I don't buy into, the training's too hard, it's too intense. I listened to the class in 91. They always say our training was that intense, it made matches on the weekend easier. So I don't buy into the training's too intense. In fact, under Conte, when you're doing set pieces, they were moaning it wasn't intense enough. They were standing around, you know, stuff like that. What do they want? And unfortunately, I think you've got modern day players, because they're so highly paid, they know. They can dictate what goes on at football clubs, and they can just give up any time they feel like it. Throw the next manager under the bus, bring in the next guy, you get a 10-game bounce, and all of a sudden it's the same shit again. I'm fed up with it. So when we keep seeing the manager bounces at Tottenham, one thing it shows to me is they can play when they want to play. You know, and if a manager tries to come in, motivate them, and he says, look, fuck you, you're not doing what I asked you to do, you're not playing. All of a sudden they can start corralling troops. Look, guys, get in people's ears, and all of a sudden you get enough, you throw the manager under the bus. And I'm absolutely fed up with that cycle at Tottenham Hotspur. This can't keep going on. And articles like that, it's almost like coming out defending the players to a certain degree. And I do not like it. Where's the articles coming out and countering that? Why is there no articles saying, well, hang on, we've looked, it was the same under Conte, it was the same under Jose. You know, players went up to Daniel Levy, got Nuno sacked. Is there a problem at Tottenham Hotspur? It's the same at Man United. The reason why no manager works out over there is because the players run the dressing room. They can do what they want. Can't keep doing this at Tottenham Hotspur. We just cannot, because you're only going one way. You look at the two big clubs where the players are running the dressing rooms, and you look at the other big clubs where the managers are running the dressing rooms. Big difference where we are in the league table. Big difference in what you succeed. So for me, I don't give the players any pass whatsoever, and I don't want to hear any bitching and moaning coming out at our camp. Even if Postecoglou gets sacked, I don't want to hear them coming out trying to put the blame on him. I want them to start taking ownership. I looked at Madison's interview after the game, you know, and he just looked down, looked like he didn't even want to be here, looked like he didn't want to fight. And if that's the attitude in the dressing room, no wonder why we're in this situation. That's one of your vice captains, by the way, and these players can't keep getting a free pass. Fair enough, highlight the manager all you want, but make sure these players also get the scrutiny that they deserve.
Hey, Dave, yeah. I guarantee you now, all these so-called players that are apparently moaning about training, I bet you not one of them would be moaning about training if we were sat in second or third or fourth. Nope. And obviously 2 or 3-0 up against Liverpool going into a cup final. Not one of them would complain then. The only reason they're complaining at the moment is because the pressure's starting to go on these players.
Yep.
And all of a sudden people are, I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone's whinging at Ange, but people are starting to blame these players. And yes, they may be tired, but the only reason anybody ever moans is because things aren't going their way.
Yeah.
So if we were in second or third, there'd be nobody moaning. If we was in that final, and we were already qualified for Europe, and the players were doing this, there'd be no mourning. But go back to Poch. Every player that played under Poch was like, "Oh, that was the hardest training. We've intensified training to get fit. We need to be fit towards the end." Then you go to Conte, you've got your players puking up on sidelines because they're running up and down them pitches. And now you've got Ange. Oh, things aren't quite right. So what's the first thing that we're going to blame? Everything that he does. Oh, the training's not right. This ain't right. That ain't right. Well, it's about time these players actually grew a set of balls and got out there on the pitch and showed what they were getting paid for, because the absolutely stupid amounts of money these players earn to run up and down a pitch. I'll tell you what, I don't mind pulling my hamstring once or twice a year to go and get what they earn. I've done it when I was younger and played American football. My hamstrings went left, right, and centre. Shoulders dislocated. Did we ever complain? No, we didn't. We just waited till it got fixed and then got back on the pitch. That's even if we waited for it to get fixed. The amount of games I played with hamstrings gone, it's unbelievable. I wasn't getting paid. Well, I was, but not like these are getting paid. They're just a big set of absolute windbags that are playing football this day. Can you imagine Georgie Best or somebody like that complaining about training? The only reason he'd be complaining about training is because he didn't have time to light his fag or have a pint halfway through it. But it is absolute bollocks, the amount of players that complain about training when the going gets tough. And I'll tell you what, if Ange Postecoglou had just signed a new contract for another 2 or 3 years, I bet you these players won't be complaining then. The only reason, if they are complaining now, is because they think he's going.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more with that, lad. And then we've got Beanie Man. He says, which I'm going to get onto. I just want to give the other boys their say on it as well. But he says, are you serious? You know, of course, these players have the right to, complain about training when you look at the injuries. But I'm going to follow up with what Pedro Porro has come out and said recently, to do with the injuries and stuff like that. And I think, maybe puts maybe a different light on it to a certain degree. But, Jack, we'll come into your thoughts on the players once again complaining about training methods and the hotel stay as well. They actually complained about that under Conte as well. Having to stay in the hotel, spending too much time away from their families and stuff like that.
I mean, I don't even know what to say, Dave. We've heard it all before, haven't we? We've heard it all before. I just kind of roll and repeat, I guess, all the things we've said before, similar to Soren. They just kind of look to use these type of excuses to basically throw the manager under the bus. And also, Dave, like as you and I have brought up before, these types of articles, these types of, rumors and whatnot come about only when the manager is under pressure, only when the manager is close to potentially the end, because they try to use it as the justification basically for it. They try to use it as a little bit of extra spice to the, argument that, this is why the guy needs to go or whatever. And frankly, Dave, I'm kind of just tired of it. And it seems like it's always going to happen. Like the manager could be the nicest guy in the world, could give them all the, accommodations that they could require, they could need, could wish them good night, kiss them good night, give them a, good night cocoa every single night. And they still would come up with an article at the end of the season, if he needed to go, about how he's, too kind or too nice or whatever. There's always some version of where he's made out to look like the bad guy. But don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to exactly defend Ange, in this. I'm just saying it just happened with Conte, it happened with Jose, it's happened with Nuno, it just happens. And these articles always come out. It's media BS, like someone just wrote there. And it could be true, it could not be true, but it always happens. So that's how I sort of feel about it.
The thing is, I do think it's come from a player or some players. I don't think it's any coaches or anyone else like that leaking it. This has to come from a player. It's too specific when you talk about, the running they're asked to do, when they talk about the training, when they talk about the hotel ground, it's the stay. It's too specific. This has to come from a player. Look, it's speculation if you end up throwing up names. I think many people could probably look in and pick a name or two who they think it is. But I want to change move the conversation on slightly with Donovan and Dermot, and you can come back and have your say on this. But Sammy Mockbell says players are complaining about injuries, but here's what Pedro Porro had to say on it. We have a plan for all of our training. Those players who aren't playing so much have their own plan to come back, and me too. I train at the club, but I also do my own work outside the club, recovery work, prevention of injury. Everyone has their own schedule. If the training sessions are less intense, it's for those players coming back. They have the training they need, and also the players who are playing, we need a lot of recovery. So he's coming out and saying that, the rumors basically about this intense training schedule is a load of bollocks. And he's basically, I think, alluding to what are other players doing outside of Tottenham Hotspur for prevention of injury and recovery. I'm doing stuff, are other players. That's what I take from that article. And maybe is that why we're seeing so many injuries? Because you look at Basuma, does anyone think he's sitting at home doing recovery and anything like that? I don't think so. He's out there lighting up balloons, isn't he? You know what I mean? So, Donovan, we'll let you come in on this, and we'll let Dermo come in as well.
You took the words out of my mouth, man. I literally had balloon huffer with like a question mark, man. Like, who's saying this shit to the media? Like, the balloon huffer? Like, that's what I'm gonna call him now, dude. Like, I look back, soccer's always gonna have divas. They're always gonna have the players that make more money. We had a derby coming up here against league contenders, and our star right winger's out there on the club drinking bottles the night before, and he's wondering why he can't put a solid 60 minutes in before, right?
How many players
right?
Darts?
So it's like, what's going on here? It's clear to see the level of professionalism in our squad is there. We see players that are linked to the likes of Real Madrid, and we can look at the players that are going away on. Actually, let me rephrase this. The stark level of difference between the quality of our squad is actually alarming, because you got players that are linked to go to Real Madrid, but then we got players that are going to run out of their contract and not see where they're going to go. So until we bring that kind of up to a medium, then we can find some consistency. That kind of reeks of inconsistency right there, and maybe that's where our inconsistency does come from. But nothing much to say more than that. He nailed it on the head, and good for him too, because Pedro Porro, man, I was starting to question him. Like, I was starting to question the mentality of the guy, because once you see the bright lights of the Spanish capital, sometimes it's hard to take your head off that. Especially, he is Spaniard. He is a Spanish holding passport. He does for a lot of Spaniard people. I've met a lot of Spanish players, and like Atletico, Barcelona, Real. Those are the holy grail. That's the holy trinity of football for them. So if one of them calling, you kind of just put everything on hold and you just kind of go. So the fact that he still has the professionalism to apply himself to the cool downs, to do those plunges, to do whatever he needs to do to get his body in shape so he can still consistently playing, it seems that he's got the right mentality of you're only as good as your last game. And these big clubs will lose interest in you just as fast as they gain interest in you. And once you drop your standard for a moment, that they'll go away. And you guys had that debate about Romero. If Romero's actually, it wasn't you guys, it was the guys on We Are Tottenham TV about the likes of Romero. Well, does winning the World Cup, is that enough for him to get a move now still, or has his form over the last 2 seasons dropped so much dramatically, the fact that his inconsistency levels, are these big clubs still interested in him? Well, Pedro Porro has come out and it's not just that quote you mentioned there, Dave. I thought you were going to mention the fact that he came out in his last Sky interview, coming out saying the reality of the fact is that we're in 4 cup competitions with 12 first-team players, and that's not an excuse. That's just a fact, right? So the guy's able to look at everything from all angles, get a good grip of it, and hopefully can apply that to Tottenham Hotspur, because there's a captain that's captain material, right? It's Pedro Porro, the postman who delivers UK wide, right? So we need to see more of that mentality in the squad, and we needed to see it today. This is a Hoffenheim buildup, and yeah, we can talk about these deep-rooted problems about Tottenham Hotspur that have always seemed to be in there, but the fact is we have 3 points on the grab today, and we need to go and get those 3 points. Yeah. So it starts with him. It starts with players like Romero that I think coming back in the fold. I know we're not going to start talking about the pre-match lineups quite yet, but
we're going to go into after this.
Yeah, the Bentikers that come back in the squad, the bloody Johnson, the Brennan Johnson that are playing. Like, how the hell is Brennan Johnson one of our highest goal contributors this season? As beyond that's a problem in itself right there. So it's these senior, quote unquote, senior players that have been given way too much rope. You argue that Ange has been given too much rope. How many times have we seen these players? I feel like I'm a broken record. I feel like we're here every 18 months and I'm saying the exact same thing. How many times have these players thrown managers under the bus, thrown their toys out of the pram? You alluded there to Dave how Madison's looking like a kid with his hand caught in the cookie jar in an interview and he doesn't want to be there. Mate, you are supposed to be an English international, right? You've built yourself up from Norwich City right down to that. I forget what team he played on before that those blue jerseys where he was deemed too small of a footballer. Coventry. When you're deemed too small of a footballer to play the game, what happened to that passion and that desire, that passion of the guy getting kicked the crap out of him and he wanted to prove to everybody, no, I can make a football. I'm going to develop my technique. I'm going to be one of the best attacking 10s the England's ever seen. Well, I'll tell you what happened. It's 120,000 pounds after getting your team relegated. It stinks. It stinks of averageness. And until we start backing this team and getting these players in, like the likes of the Kimmiches and those world beaters that bring and elevate your squad. I talk about the average squad talent being brought to a certain level and can bring that mentality. It's what's the word here? Conformity. It's like conformity. If you have too bad of them, if you have too many players with that stinking mindset, it's going to overpower the ones that actually want to go there and win. And that's why we see these players leave. That's why we saw our best player of the generation leave, Harry Kane, go off to Bavaria there. So big up to Porro, man, because that's some big stuff to say, man. And that's good for him, because like I said, I thought his head was turned by Madrid. But
do you know what, as well? I look at it. He's played the most minutes out of any player since Ange Postecoglou's arrival. And then you also look at Kulu, who has spoke about mentality, doing things the right way, the way he eats, etc., looking after himself off the pitch and all. Two players that haven't been on the injury list this season. You know what I mean? You look at other players out all the time. Brennan Johnson. How much of that is to do what he doesn't do outside the pitch, like a Porro, like a Kulusevski? He's breaking down. He's rode the bench most of the season. You know what I mean? It's absolutely embarrassing. But Dermo, we'll let you in on it, my man, and then we'll crack on. I want to get in and talk about the lineups.
Yeah, look, fair play to Porro for what he said. It's down to players to they're professional footballers at the end of the day. Their job is to make sure they're fit to follow the club's sort of rules that have laid out for them. And if you want to improve, I'm sure many of the best players, you look at Georgie Best when he was in his prime, before he found this world drink and everything else going with it.
Lucky man.
Lucky bastard. He used to see him hours on the training pitch after the training finished. You look at Harry Kane, hours on just shooting, practicing. You look at Glenn Hoddle, used to do the same back in the day. You look at Jimmy Greaves, probably the greatest striker. I think he was better than Harry Kane. I think Jimmy Greaves is the best striker Tottenham have ever had. And he would practice, just simple tap-ins, just simple stuff. But he would work in their games. Players just would spend hours after training. Gareth Bale, work after training. And it's down to wanting to improve yourself. It's down wanting to improve yourself, improve the team. But personally, you want to make yourself look better. It's down to your personality of passion of, I want to improve. I want to go to the next level. What's the next level for me? Continuously pushing. Players today don't have that drive because they're on so much money. Players back in the day were only on 300-400 quid a week, which back then, as a kid, 400 quid to me back in the 80s was a lot of money. But they still had to pay their own mortgages. Couldn't when they finished football, they had to get other jobs because they didn't have enough money to retire. So I think the problem is the players that play too much. They're too much in the comfort zone, and I think that they're just babyized. They're just treated like babies. Go back to the 80s, 90s. Players were men. Players were paid. All right, in the 90s, wages went up a bit. But Jimmy Greaves, he had the job in the summer, cleaning out the dog track at Wimbledon in the summer to make ends meet in the summer. He couldn't afford. He went to do a job as a salesman after he finished football. Players are paid too much today, and I'm glad there's a wage cap coming in next season for all Premier League clubs. Which I think it's been a long time coming.
Can you leave your love that?
Yeah, but players are too soft because they play too much. They're pampered. You look at the class of '92. I watched that bit of that documentary you're going to watch later, Dave, with Dennis Irwin. He was telling me in the part of it that they used to run up hills when he played for Oldham. Up hills and down hills. And Roy Keane made the point that team, they were always Ferguson made that team competitive. They were always competing against one another. Training. The one who's going to be the first in the training. It was like a little competition. Who's going to be the first one there? Running. I want to beat you because I want to be better than you. What are these players? I don't mean to put it, some of them are pussies. And they wouldn't last 5 minutes.
Not enough hill sprints, Dermo.
I agree. You're absolutely spot on.
And look, I come from a different generation. I come from a generation when I was brought up in the 80s.
Don't start calling this grandpa stuff, Dermo.
No. But the point I'm making is, players were players then. You look at you look at Robbie Keane thumping your man because he didn't come up to the standards of the way Robbie Keane saw the club. Players are pussies today. They're too pampered.
Yeah,
I just think that they're too pampered, and it really does my nutting.
100%. 100% they're way too pampered
Sorry
nowadays.
for using the word. I apologise, Dave, and I don't mean to get your channel into trouble by using that word, and I apologise, but I'm
Say
sorry.
what you want.
Dave,
What's
quick
that?
question. When did the Porro statement come out?
That was yesterday. I seen it.
Right, and then all of a sudden today a statement's come out saying that players are complaining about the...
No, the Sammy Mockbell one was the day before, I think.
Right.
It was the day before.
And then Porro
no,
came
it's
out. I
just
think his one was
interesting
with
how,
Football London.
yeah, it's just interesting how, you know, you get one, supposedly a player coming out saying, this is how we're training and it's not necessarily out wrong with it. And then all of a sudden, some journalist comes out with, oh, players are complaining. So like you say, it'd be interesting to know who is the players that are complaining.
Well, I definitely, look,
Madison.
no smoke without fire. I do think someone's come out complaining. Look, I don't think it takes a genius to work out. You know, people are starting to speak about it more and more. But him and Madison have had a falling out. So I wonder, you know, where some of these leaks are coming from. It doesn't take a genius to work it out. But you know, I'm glad that Porro's come out. I'm glad that the other side of the dressing room has come out in defense of him. And Porro, you know, to a large degree. Look, I know Porro's been our worst player this year to a large degree. But the fact that he is out there routinely every single game and other players aren't, and he's the one that's saying, I'm doing recovery and extra work outside of Tottenham at home, etc., it stands to him. You know, he's always available. And some people say the best availability is, you know, being available for selection. So, you know, I think there's something to be said to it. You know, when, you know, I know people go mad about me saying about the players at the darts, but Johnson's injured now. Madison, he barely gets a game. You know, these things have to be cut out. Focus on your football, and this is my problem. Yeah, they're human beings. Yeah, they should be allowed a release valve. But at the end of the day, go and do it on international break. Half of them aren't in their international teams anyway, so go and do it then. Or, you know, wait until the summer like most normal people have to do. Book 2 weeks off work or so, you know, wait till a certain time, go on holidays and stuff. There's too many free passes for these guys. If we're performing up the top and they want to go and have a night out at the darts, fine, be my guest. But the reality is you don't see teams up the top at the darts. You don't see players that are at the top of the game at the darts and stuff like that. You only see players that are, I'm not the problem, you're the problem, and have a go at fans for having a go at their performances. Work that one out. Anyway, we're going to move on because I do want to get into team selection today. But we've got a couple of chats here. We've got Beto A777. We need to play our academy players now, mate. Look, I think it's getting to that point. I think, you know, today you're going to see a bench full of academy youngsters. You probably see Olasesi, Ajayi, you know, I don't know who else. You see a load of them today anyway. Maybe you might see that young kid, Barnett Williams and that as well, Lancashire, all them guys. You'll see them fill out the bench today. Beto, and look, he's going to have to turn to them at some point, but hopefully we can be in a position to turn to them. That would be the best thing about it, Beto. And he's become a new YouTube member. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Beto.
Man. Keep an eye on the community section. We do put a lot up there for our members to say thank you for all the support, my man. So big up, Beto. We have Gary Beck says, all the club's young talent. How good is George Abbott's loan being? He's skilling it at Notts County.
Yeah.
I implore everybody to go and look at his goal last weekend. It was phenomenal. So basically what happened is a corner kick was taken from the left-hand side. He was standing near the halfway line, pretending he wasn't interested, made a late run, run onto the ball, hit it sweetly with the volley straight into the top bins. It was absolutely superb. And he's scoring screamer after screamer there, and he's really stepping up at Notts County. And not only that, you know, I look at Brennan Johnson, who can't cross a ball. I watched George Abbott, who was notorious the CDM and the under-21s, didn't really do much going forward, get down that byline and float across straight onto the striker's head. So it's really not that difficult, but his loan spell is going really well, my man. Paxton N says, seriously, guys, why are we going at each other about Andrew's future? We should unite as a fan base. The rest of English football are keen enough to remind us of a situation. Ange will come good. Look, I understand the sentiment behind it, but the reality is, you know, I'm a Spurs fan. Everybody else here is on a Spurs fan. And, You know, this is what people are speaking about 24/7, you know, whether it's on here, whether it's in group chats. Let's not pretend it doesn't happen between Spurs fans texting each other about Postecoglou's future and stuff. Of course it does. But the reality is the way that it doesn't work like that, where you just shut out one side of the noise and blah, 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 blah. That's not the world we live in. The world we live in, you know, people have opinions, and this is what this is at the end of the day. Look, I would love for everybody to unite behind Ange, and there is still an opportunity Ange can come good. But right now, we're not getting results, and it's pissing everybody off. That's the reality of the situation. I'm not going to sit here and create a fairy tale alternative. That doesn't exist right now. In fact, I would argue that would be way wrong of me if I'd done that, to be quite frank. We got Shawnee Maddox in the house. He says, big up, Shawnee. Porro's been the worst player on our team this season, despite having amazing preseason, and just failed to manage the players' minutes and squad. Porro shows that the players can only do so much. No, 100%, I take that point. But, you know, everyone's sitting here blaming Postecoglou for all the injuries. But, you know, you listen to what Porro's saying about doing his own recovery and stuff. He hasn't been injured. He's played every single game, you know, nearly for 2 seasons straight. But then you're seeing players continuously on the sidelines, and it does beg the question, are they doing their all to make sure they're fit and available for Tottenham Hotspur? And I think it's a fair question to raise, 100%. Big up, Shawnee, though. I do take your point, my man. And then we have this from Ben A77 again. Oh, sorry, Beto. Why do I keep calling you Ben? I do apologize. It's like you calling me Daniel, even though my name's Dave. You know what I mean? He says, we have so many exciting prospects in our academy, but they need playing time to show what they're about. No, yeah. 100%. I do fully agree with you. But I do think there has to be an understanding. Like, everyone goes on like, Ange, he doesn't trust the youth players. We've had the most teenage players on the pitch at one time than any other Premier League team this season. Postecoglou has given more academy players opportunities and minutes than any other manager since Pochettino. He is giving them minutes, but how many do we want out there? We can't have a whole team of under 21 players out there because we'll get murdered. We'll get absolutely murdered. Don't get me wrong. You know, the likes of the Tamworth game, he should have turned to some of them under 21s. This is where I agree with the likes of Sean Mannix, right? Porro didn't need to play that one. Dragosin didn't need to play that one. You know,
Solanke, Kulu coming on.
Didn't even need to come off the bench. You know, there's so many things wrong with that Tamworth game. But at the end of the day, some people look at it and go, but you know what? He was right. Look how hard we made it. Look at the form we're in and stuff like that. So but at the end of the day, Beto, I do agree with you. And look, the good thing is the ones that ain't being used, the likes of your Donnelly out on loan doing very well, Josh Keeley doing absolutely brilliantly, George Abbott doing very well, stuff like that. So the future does look good. You even look at the players in and around the team, Gray, Bergvall, people like that. You know, the future looks really bright for Tottenham Hotspur. But in order to have the future, we have to worry about the here and now to get to the future. And that's where Johan Lang needs to fucking open his eyes and get some players in. But big up, Beto. Good to see you, my man. Hope you're keeping well. Jack, anything you want to say to Beto?
I just,
the everything striker, by the way. Hopefully he's not pining for a move to Tottenham.
It's a great username. I agree with yourself, Dave, that I do feel like Ange has, in the end, used a lot of the young players, but I would also lean on Beto's side, where I think there have been also plenty of games, plenty of opportunities for Ange to use more of them or give them more of a fair chance, more of a fair opportunity. And I don't think he has done. I don't think he's necessarily batted 1,000 when it comes to, embedding in these youth players. I think there have been missed opportunities. And you'd even look at last season, Dave, right? You know, when the season started to peter out a little bit, when we started to get railroaded by teams and, looked like, the season, there wasn't a whole lot left to play for. You could argue that there were some chances, last season where you could have maybe gave Jamie Donnelly a few more minutes, could have looked to maybe try to bring in a Will Lancashire at that point. Not saying that they needed to play or start games, but maybe even last year he could have tried to use some of the younger players when things were just not going very well. And we also were picking up injuries, but I think he has tried his best, maybe in his own version of it, but I wouldn't say he's done perfectly with the youth. I think there have been chances where he could have done maybe a bit better and throwing them in there.
No, look, that's absolutely fair. Someone else wanted to say something there?
Yeah, it's like he was also tasked with like reinvigorating the youth's mentality too, of like how to come through to the first squad. Like I don't even know what we played, if we played a counterattacking football in the youth or if we played a high pressing octane, but it takes a bit of time to to get these youth in a position where they're looking at the game of football in a way that like will benefit our first team, right? Like we don't want any timid players coming in. We don't want any players that are shy on the front foot. We want players that are brave in possession. So there's stuff happening behind the scenes that he definitely had to improve. But it's good to see the likes of the players that are coming through making an impact. Like I never thought Mikey Moore would be the way he is now. Like I hold my hands up. Harry Winks, Oliver Skip, looking at the likes of that, the caliber player, I'm thinking, oh wow, okay, that's what our academy is producing, just sub-average players. Here's another sub-average winger who might be a bit tricky, but the guy's got a glint of steel in his eye, and he's good on the dribble, and he can cut back. So it's very, very positive days going forward for their academy.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. Paxton N says, Irish Hotspur, that's not what I meant. Ange deserves criticism, but to be fair, wait for the P45 talk until the team is back to full strength. No, look, that's a fair point. That's a fair point, to be fair. But look, I think, many people are missing what I'm saying. Like, what I'm trying to do is basically highlight what is the club's fault. There has to be real recognition that sacking Ange isn't going to change everything at Tottenham Hotspur. Just like sacking Jose didn't, just like sacking Nuno didn't, just like sacking Conte didn't. All the reasons to sack him. The next guy will do better. We're still here. Everyone else has left. All the managers are left and gone on and be successful elsewhere. And this is what I keep trying to highlight, You can keep blaming Ange all you want, but look at what Johan Lang has done over the last 3 windows. Zilch. Massive part of why we are where we are today. In fact, the whole reason why we're there where we are. If you gave Ange a proper squad to work with, then we could have fair conversations around his competency. But right now, the club have made him look so incompetent, it's unbelievable. And I think it's very important to highlight that moving forward. But I do understand what you're saying. The lineups are out, so I didn't get to that conversation today. But, we'll
Sorry,
get
Dave.
to it. No. It was a juicy conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Didn't
So
want
lineups
somebody to
are
spoil
Can I
it.
just add one bit to that bit? What you said, a little bit. Sorry, I just wanted to add a little bit. You made me think of something. We keep blaming managers all the time, right? Every time since Pochettino, Mourinho, Conte, Nuno, right? It's blatantly obvious that the problem lays at the top. It lays at the recruitment team. It lays at the men that give out the money. If you don't back managers can't succeed. It's as simple as that. Players, the players have to take responsibility. But Lang has done nothing. Why is he still in the job? It's like the man with the naming rights. He sat there for 5 years. Did we get naming rights? No. It starts at the top. The top has to change. The top has to take accountability, and he's not. And it's like he's blaming everyone else. I could do a show with you lot, right? And I've made the mistake. Right, I've done a crap show. What am I? Am I going to blame you lot for making the show crap? No, it's down to me because I'm the one who prepared the show. So I need to take responsibility. Ange needs to take blame for some of his mistakes, yes. But the board, the recruitment office need to take the bigger share of the blame because they're the one that should be supplying the manager with the tools to do his job. And they haven't. And it's really grates me that players can come out and complain about training. Fans are saying it's the manager's fault. Well, how about looking upstairs? How about looking at the recruitment office?
But this is the thing, Dermo. 11 managers in 20 odd years. That's a manager every 2 seasons, and we win the way we don't win at when there's never any continuity. And you actually look at the managers, you write them down on paper. They're actually not bad managers whatsoever, but we make a lot of them look incompetent. But look, I do want to get into the lineup here. Let's get straight into it. Brandon Austin is in goal, so he makes it over Fraser Forster this evening. Pedro Porro continues at right back. Look, we have no choice. He's our only fit available fullback for today's game. Dragosin and Davies in the middle with Archie Gray at left back. Maybe we'll go through and get the panel's thoughts on that when we're hearing their thoughts on the lineup, because for me, I'd prefer to see Gray at centre back with Davies at left back. I think Davies gives us a bit more going forward. He's been good on the ball this year, and also Gray looked more comfortable at centre back. So I'm not sure pushing him out could be the right decision today. Let's wait and see. Bergvall, Bentancur, Madison, that is the midfield I predicted. And then we've got Kulusevski, Richarlison, and Son. Kulu, again, that's a huge, huge risk with him today. He is looking every bit of leggy. But Jack, watch the bench. And then guys at home, get your thoughts in on the lineup, and we'll go through the panel and get their thoughts on the lineup.
Yeah, we're giving Dave another eye test again, once again with the bench here. Fraser Forster, Whiteman, 2 goalkeepers on the bench, and then also Hardy. As well. Casanova makes the bench. Ajayi, Olasesi, Mikey Moore, Lancashire. It's basically 2 goalkeepers in a kindergarten on the bench.
So basically, if we're making subs, some people are going to make their debuts today, potentially.
Yeah, that would be lots of fun. It'd be lots of fun. I think Casanova, you could see coming in. He's played a variety of different defensive roles. Maybe Olasesi comes in because he's, always been featured on that bench. So it'd be unfair to him that he doesn't get the chance. Then, of course, it'd be nice to see Lancashire more. And like you brought up, Dave, unfortunately, we didn't, get to it yet, but a lot of people did feel like before this game that Kulusevski does not need to play. I think that's up for debate because some people want to win this game, and a lot of people feel like we need to just get over the line, win this game, guarantee ourselves to the knockout rounds, which means you might have to go with a version of your best team, which would include Kulusevski. But like you're alluding to, Kulusevski's been running to the ground, and he is at risk of pulling up with a hamstring injury like a lot of the rest of the players. So that was sadly, we didn't get time for that, but that was a good debate. Yeah.
I just think for the long-term benefits of Kulusevski, and long-term benefits of Tottenham, because he is the player we rely on so heavily going forward, some point you got to take him out just to give him that little bit of rest so that he doesn't overdo himself and break down. And plus, when it comes to Mikey Moore, let's be brutally honest, he's provided me the bit of quality, the only bit of enjoyment I've had in football over the last, I don't know how long, watching this forward line, when he just picked up the ball simply straight into Richarlison, going to have it home. He brings that unpredictability, that X factor that we've been missing. And look, I think we've missed a huge opportunity here, but look, let's go through the panel. Let's see what they have to say. Soren, we'll start with you, my man. Let's get your thoughts on the lineup, and then let's get your score prediction, buddy.
I think the lineups kind of speaks for itself. I'm with you. I would like to see Gray probably more centre back and Davis as left back. There's no surprises in there whatsoever. I would have liked to have seen Mikey Moore start maybe instead of Son, but I just assume Ange is just on the thought process of get out there, get this game won, and then we'll make some substitutions. Because I don't think there's much more that we can do. Looking at the bench, it's pretty weak, isn't it? So if we don't win this within 60 minutes, I think we're in trouble.
Yeah.
This is a game we've certainly got to go out and win. It's just such a shame that we get to a point where some of these players really could have done with a good rest, and they're just not going to get it. So I think it's obvious Kulu's probably going to play on the right, Son on the left, maybe Richarlison straight down the middle.
Come on, Big Rich.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I would play it, but it wouldn't surprise me if he puts Richie out on the left and Son down the middle. So
surely not. Surely not.
Well,
that's a recipe for disaster. Son can't hit a man door right now.
Well, I know he can, and I'm not saying that's the way I would play. I would certainly play Richie down the middle, but I just don't see any other options in there. Obviously, he's gone with Benton, Kjærberg, Valen, Maddison down the centre, or in the middle, should I say. Pedro going to have to play again. To me, he's got to rest Pedro then at the weekend somehow, and bring Spence back into it. But it's just so hard with the team we've got available to sort of.
Well, at the weekend, we should have Romero on that back, so you're hoping you can't get a rest for Porro because you'll have Spence back as well. Yeah,
and I mean, to me, if Romero's back, then you probably play Romero and Dragusin, push Davis out to the left, give those players some rest, or maybe even finally put Gray into the position he's supposed to be in, because that's the one that we're all waiting for. I mean, how he didn't play him in the centre the other day, I just do not understand. I think everybody expected to finally see him in that number 6 role, and I think he'd be absolutely superb in there. I think that's where we need to see him. But yeah, the team's exactly how you want to see it. Maddison needs to grow a set and actually play tonight instead of just running around and falling over. Bergvall, I mean, I think he's stepped up. He's been a player. He's probably playing a lot more than we expected him to at this point. But he's done well as the lad. He had a bit of a shaky start, and I think he's done well for an 18-year-old lad. And I think the two that have to play tonight, Son has to have a good game and Maddison has to have a good game. And then once we start winning, you can bring Kulu off and maybe play Richie on the right, bring Lancashire on or Moore on and put Son down the middle then. But yeah, we've got to win it, and we've got to win it early. So
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I think, you know, if at halftime we're 2 or 3-0 up, which, look, I know it's cuckoo time saying that, but if we're 2 or 3-0 up, then you just bring them on, just bring the kids on, just do it. But the problem then is if we go on and lose, it's going to be another meltdown, isn't it? You know, the world's melting again, so who knows? I give up, but yeah, we'll see. Do you need a score prediction?
Yeah.
6-0 Spurs. Why not? Just yeah, exactly. It's either going to be 6-0, 3-0, or we're going to lose 4-3 or something stupid. I don't care anymore. 6-0. Sorry, 6-0.
Do you know, if we could go out and get a big scoreline tonight, I think, definitely make some fans happy, that's for sure. Look, I agree with you about getting the job done early. I think that's why I selected this lineup with a view of maybe taking some of them off around 60, 65 minutes. Definitely agree with that for sure. But look, I think Bentancur, having him back in the midfield, I think he brings that element of control that we miss when he's not there. And Richarlison, he has made an impact these last 2 games off the bench, so I'm excited to see what he can do. Donovan, over to you, my man. Jack, we'll let you go and make sure you get that set, the watch-along set up, so we will make sure we get it nice and proper for this game. So we'll let Jack bow out, guys, make sure he has a perfect time, because what we don't want to happen is what's happened to us in the previous ones, where shit goes tits up. So we're going to let Jack bow out and go and get that ready. Donovan, what's your thoughts on the lineup, my man?
Take it easy, Jack. A bit disappointed. Like, everybody knows, if you haven't known by now, that I'm an Ange sympathizer. I'm strongly Angian. I believe the problem is.
I believe they call you Ansexual now, Donovan.
Yeah,
that's what the
I'm converted from my morosexuality to a ansexuality there. Lucas Moura there. I'm looking at the lineup that I made, my predicted lineup, and I'm thinking, first of all, obviously Romero wasn't fit enough to make the trip, so you can give him credit there. But I don't understand why Moore's not starting. Like, I don't think Son should be playing this game. Like, but take it back a second. I kind of got off sidetrack there. Like, Ange is not without any kind of criticism. You can criticize the guy, you can question him. This lineup, to me, unfortunately, just this reeks of desperation. Like, throwing everything at the wall and hopefully it sticks. It would be nice to have Son on the bench. Have a little bit of thank you, Dave. Have a little bit of experience to call on if need be. Give the guy a rest, because let's be real, like, the guy cannot play 4 games in 2 weeks anymore. You got to time his minutes. I'd rather him being saved for the second half versus Leicester and then brought onto a full capacity role so we can see him. He can still put the club on his back. He's shown that in the second leg. Or was it the second leg or just a knockout game versus Man United, where Sonny can roll back the years and he can pick his moments and he can let that lightning out of the bottle, but he can't do it week in and week out. Save him for that Liverpool game. Just keep Sonny and wrap him in cotton wool. Dejan Kulusevski could have been given a rest too, but maybe not, because we're so threadbare. I think we're going to see Gray playing in the left back position. It'd be nice to have Bentancur having Bentancur as that double pivot, giving him calmness on the ball. And looking forward, we have a front 6, if you want to call it that, of Bentancur, Maddison, Bergvall, Son, Richarlison, Kula. That's more than enough to rip apart any team in the league, let alone subpar Hoffenheim. So the goals are there, 3-1. It's going to be nice to see Austin again. It was nice seeing him come out for those corners. He was very commanding. He was confident. Who kept trying to knock him down? I forget what center back that was. Kept bullying the hell out of him. Sorry. Dan Burn, the prick. So it was good to see. It was good to see him stand up to that. I was tired of seeing Davies getting skinned on the left back position. We've seen it for the last 5 years. I'm tired of seeing him getting outpaced. I do agree that he does have more going forward on that left foot. So it's going to be nice to see him step into that half space and Bentancur and Gray drop in, because we have that ability now. Gray can step back into that back line and have almost Davies invert a little bit. Overlap a little bit on the outside. So we got more than enough technical ability on this pitch to really do some damage today. And we have a Richarlison that's fighting, because he knows the guy isn't living under a rock. He knows what the British media is like, and we know the rumors of like us trying a new attacking player. And I feel like he hasn't felt like he's pulled his weight this game. So these are the big games. it's still a prestigious European competition. So getting a couple goals in the Europa League is going to do huge for your career, right? Like it's not the Champions League, but it's not the Conference League. There's still merit in scoring in the Europa League. So having those attacking players going forward, get some positive media back in the back pages, so these players and the fans can have something positive to look forward to going into Leicester. So on all that being said, I'm thinking 3-1. I don't think there's enough solidity in the back line to not concede a goal. We know Poro's suspect going forward. We know that Dragusin is suspect on the ball. It's a young back line that hasn't played together very much, with the Davies coming back from injury. So there is going to be a goal opportunity there. We're rubbish defending set pieces, unfortunately. Even though we have improved number-wise, it's still tactics. It's still not, tactics. It's still mentality thing. We haven't shored it up. We've seen Arsenal shore it up and see how they're bossing both boxes, but we're still not quite there yet. So it might be a set piece. It might be a lapse of concentration, or it might just be a one-touch through ball that seems to cut out every single Ange high line. But there's going to be a goal for them. There's going to be way too much going forward. Get this done in the first 60 minutes. Get this done in the first half so Son can come off. Let Mikey Moore at him in the second half. And 3-1 Spurs. That's what I'm going for.
Oh, I love that. Love that. Let's see how it goes. I definitely agree with you, that we do have some good attacking players out there, and hopefully we could see maybe a little bit more creativity tonight. That'd be absolutely brilliant. Dermot, my man, what's your thoughts on the lineup? You happy with it? You're not?
It is what it is. There's nothing else we can do. It's what it is, basically.
Yeah.
We've only got 11 fit players, plus a load of kindergarten kids that have just been given a day out, like they've been bought on a day trip. That we're going to bring you to a game tonight. Just sit there and behave yourself. Look, I would have preferred more to start tonight, but look, I think you start with your strongest 11, take it from there, and then you bring on the kids then, as and when you need them. But look, Ange can. I've got to the point now. Ange can't do no right. Whatever he does, it's just something's going to happen. He's just, as I said before, has he walked under a ladder? Has he broken a window? I've never seen a manager have so much bad luck as Ange Postecoglou's had this season. But look, they're the 11 that got to go out and get us a win, get Ange a win, get some confidence. I mean, we're doing quite well in the Europa League. We're 1 defeat in the first 5 games in the Europa League. Hoffenheim
last 3 though, Derma.
Yeah, we've only had 1 defeat. Hoffenheim, I think it's 1 win in the last 5 in the Europa League. So, it's a game we should win. I sort of agree with Soren. 60 minutes, bag in a good few goals. I think it was Soren that said that.
Yeah.
And then start resting players then for Leicester. Look, I'm going for a 4-1 win. Look, we are going to concede 1. It's just who we are. So we are going to concede 1, but I think we're going to have too much firepower for them up front. I think once we get the first one, their heads are going to drop. And then I think then we'll just roll over them, and then they may get 1 back. But I think we're going to win tonight. And hope Man United can do us a favour of beat Rangers.
Yeah.
We go into the top 8, needed a point to qualify for the round of 16. That's and the 2 games we should win quite easily. So I'm quite confident tonight. And then you're in the round of 16. We beat Liverpool in the League Cup semi-final. We're in the final. Things are looking rosy in the Guardian again. So, let's get behind the team.
Yeah.
No, once in our life, stop fighting. Stop infighting. Stop fighting with each other. Let's get behind the team 100%. These are the teams we follow. This is the team we love. Let's get behind them, and let's get behind the manager, and let's get a win tonight. We've had too many bad days over the last month and a half. Let's just get a win tonight. Yeah. Come on, you Spurs.
No, 100%. And I, definitely agree with you on that. Look, regardless of what Tottenham Hotspur are going through, we're Spurs fans. We bloody love this club through thick and thin. Get behind it tonight. Always hope for the best and see what happens. Definitely agree with that. Let's take some comments quickly before we end out. We have my dad. Big up my old lad. He's gone 3-2 to the Spurs or 3-3. Come on, you Spurs. And look, he's prime example. He doesn't believe in Ange Postecoglou to a large degree, but he still says, look, still going to watch every game. Still want us to win. I'm a Tottenham fan at the end of the day, so big yourself. Yeah. And let's bloody go. Hopefully, these European nights is exactly what we live for. Eamon O'Neill says we follow them in good times, do the same in the bad times. Come on, you Spurs. 24Z, big up, my man. Says, no, Mikey Moore, I'm out. Son is crap. Look, I think most people agree with you in the comments, even on the panel. Mikey Moore probably should be in this starting lineup tonight. But look, let's wait and see. I would look for it. He'd definitely come off the bench, and I look forward to it for that moment. 24C. Rooty Toot says, "Lol, you make your own luck, Dharma." Big up, Rooty Toot. Stevie Fraser says, "Moore is our strongest 11, to be honest, but it is what it is." Big up, Stevie Fraser. Good to see you. Lisa CKG17 says, "Moore has fresher legs, and he would have been great with Bergvall. And what is the deal with Lancashire not being given minutes, for God's sake? How long is Ange going to continue to punish this kid?" And that's the thing, look, I agree about making him learn a lesson, for getting sent off against Galatasaray. But again, there's got to be a way back. How long are you going to keep punishing him for? But again, how much of it is this month that they're holding him back because they don't want him to get injured so that they can loan him out? That is the plan with him this month. That's been the plan for him all month. Postecoglou told us, before the FA Cup game, they are looking to loan him out. So is that maybe the reason why? Let's wait and see. But I do understand the frustration around it. Mark New says, 4-1, good call, Dermo. I'd take this tonight. And then Beto's gone 6-0 to us. Big up, Beto. Well, guys, I appreciate everybody, tuning in today. You guys at home, I really, really do appreciate the support. Hopefully you can keep tuning in for these great conversations. Hopefully you keep enjoying the content. And look, these would be hard to do if you guys weren't watching, so that's why I want to show the appreciation. I also want to show the appreciation to Soren, to Donovan, and to Dermo. You two, I can't have two Ds on the panel anymore. It gets me mixed up. Don't know who to go with first, but big yourselves up, guys. Really appreciate your support and giving up your time to do these once again, creating great conversations. And lastly, I want to appreciate the people that's gone the extra mile today. The likes of Moondog, Wembley One, Paul G, Blaine Devlin, Beto, and Shawnee Maddox as well. Big up, guys, and that I really appreciate it. So, guys, we'll be back here at 4:15 for the watch along. Look, despite the times we're in, we all live in hope. And sometimes a week in football can be very short time. You can turn the corner very, very quickly. Hopefully tonight's that night. See you back here soon. As always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on.